Chapter 2079. No. But. Absolutely not. Qiu Ji, the second elder of Qiu clan, turned pale when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. His body began to tremble violently as though he was scared out of his wits. Bang, bang, bang. At the same time, Qiu Ji's speed of kowtowing increased. With a loud bang, the floor of the Qiu family's main hall was smashed open by his kowtowing. Ferocious cracks spread out like a giant spider web. The current Qiu Ji had completely tossed his identity and dignity to the back of his mind. There was only one thought in his mind at this moment. He had to survive. As a powerhouse at the first form of the Saint Celestial stage, Qiu Ji knew the hardships he had gone through. He had worked hard for hundreds of years to reach where he was today. If he died now, he would be leaving this world forever. His efforts over the past hundreds of years would be in vain. When he thought of this, he was naturally very unwilling to accept this. It should be known that even if his cultivation did not improve, with his current cultivation, it would not be a problem for him to live for another 1,000 years. For this reason, Qiu Ji yearned to live. He had not lived long enough. He still had thousands of years to live. Qiu Ji had thought of this when Duan Lingtian walked toward him in a menacing manner earlier. However, when he was pressured by Duan Lingtian, his mental defenses crumbled completely. At this moment, he did not hesitate to kneel and beg Duan Lingtian for mercy so that he could live. To the current him, as long as he could survive, nothing else mattered. No! Duan Lingtian looked coldly at Qiu Ji, who was kneeling and kowtowing as he begged for mercy. A sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth as he said calmly, "So you're saying I'm deaf? Or am I blind? Is that so?" Duan Lingtian's tone became heavier as he spoke. After hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Qiu Ji knew that he had made a mistake. He could feel the Duan Lingtian's heavy tone and his heart trembled. He was scared out of his wits. Following that, he kowtowed even harder and begged for mercy. "Sir, I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please spare my life. As long as Your Excellency is willing to spare my life, I am willing to do anything for Your Excellency without any complaints. My lord, please spare my life. Spare me." Qiu Ji, whose face was covered in blood, no longer looked like a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse. Instead, he looked more like an old servant who had made a mistake. If there was anyone present who could understand Qiu Ji's current feelings, it would be none other than the other 5 Saint Celestial stage powerhouses. The sword strike that Duan Lingtian used to kill Qiu Gang-yi, the second master of Qiu clan, had caused them to feel fear from the bottom of their hearts and souls. After that, they no longer dared to make an enemy out of Duan Lingtian. For this reason, they did not look down on Qiu Ji when they saw how cowardly he was in front of Duan Lingtian. Instead, they felt it was normal. "Do you want to do anything for my excellency?" Duan Lingtian asked in a deep voice after he frowned when he heard Qiu Ji begging for mercy. He was getting a little annoyed. Yes, I'm willing to do anything for Your Excellency." Qiu Ji heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He could sense a turning point in the situation that would allow him to live. "I don't need you to do anything for me." However, Duan Lingtian's words caused Qiu Ji to feel as though he had fallen into an ice cave. He felt chills running up his spine. Qiu Ji felt as though the sky had darkened when Duan Lingtian said, "However, if Sister Qiu wants you to do anything for her, I won't hold it against you." As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, the eldest daughter of the Qiu clan, Qiu Muqing, who was supporting her father, became the center of attention. Qiu Muqing was still shocked by Qiu Ji's performance in front of Duan Lingtian. She was stunned when she heard Duan Lingtian's words and saw many people looking at her. Bang! Before Qiu Muqing could regain her senses, a ghostly figure had already knelt in front of her like a dead dog. Upon closer inspection, one could see it was Qiu Ji who had knelt in front of Duan Lingtian earlier. Second elder, the Qiu Muqing was startled. Qiu Muqing was shocked when she saw the second elder, Qiu Ji, who used to be high and mighty, kneeling in front of her. Fear and uneasiness could be seen on her face. It was no wonder Qiu Muqing reacted in such a manner. In the past, as the second elder of Qiu clan and the second strongest person in Qiu clan, Qiu Zhi's status in Qiu clan was even higher than the clan leader of Qiu clan. He was only second to the Grand Elder of Qiu clan. However, today, this person whom even her father, Qiu Ping, the clan leader of the Qiu clan, was afraid of was kneeling in front of a junior of the Qiu clan. Qiu Muqing was shocked. Sister Muqing, from today onward, I, Qiu Zhi, will be your dog. While Qiu Muqing was still in shock, Qiu Zhi said confidently, in the future, I'll bite whoever Sister Muqing points at. I won't hesitate for even a second. If you don't believe me, I'll swear on the lightning penalty oath. As soon as Qiu Zhi finished speaking, he made his move again. He pricked his finger, and a drop of blood rose into the air. As soon as Qiu Zhi made the oath, the 99 heavenly tribulation responded. Boom, 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 boom. 9 claps of thunder reverberated in the air. This meant Qiu Zhi's oath had been answered. He could not go back on his word unless he wanted to be killed by the lightning penalty. Based on Qiu Zhi's actions, one could see he was afraid of death. Since he was bound by the lightning penalty oath, it was only natural he would not do anything that would violate the oath. Second Elder, you don't have to do this. Qiu Muqing was shocked when Qiu Zhi said he would be her dog. When she saw Qiu Zhi had sworn on the lightning penalty oath, she quickly regained her senses and waved her hand at Qiu Zhi. Qiu Muqing had always been respectful to Qiu Zhi, the second elder of Qiu clan. She did not dare to slight him at all. However, today, this person whom she had to respect in the past swore on the lightning penalty oath that he would be an obedient dog by her side. How could she accept this? It would be great if she did not have a heart attack. Sister Muqing, I've sworn on the lightning penalty oath. From today onward, I'll follow your orders. Qiu Zhi's blood-stained face was expressionless, but between his words, there was a solemn vow, mixed with an unquestionable tone. Elder Sister Qiu, since he wants to be a servant by your side, just let him be. This way, in the future, you will have one more person by your side that you can order around. Duan Lingtian said to Qiu Muqing at the same time. He was satisfied with Qiu Zhi's performance. His anger toward Qiu Zhi had completely dissipated. Duan, Qiu Muqing turned to look at Duan Lingtian immediately when she heard his words. However, as soon as she opened her mouth, she recalled Duan Lingtian's words. She hastily changed her words and said, Brother Li Feng, I already have many servants and maids around me. You mean, you don't lack people to order around? Duan Lingtian asked as he interrupted Qiu Muqing. Qiu Muqing hesitated for a moment before she nodded. Although she did not know why Qiu Zhi, the second elder of Qiu clan, was so afraid of Duan Lingtian, she felt uneasy when she thought about how Qiu Zhi wanted to be her servant. If that's the case, there's no need for us to keep him. Duan Lingtian nodded when he heard Qiu Muqing's words. His eyes flashed fiercely as he looked at Qiu Zhi. Bang, bang, bang. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking and looked at Qiu Zhi began to kowtow to Qiu Muqing in a panic. As he kowtowed, he said in a panic, Sister Muqing, please accept me. Please. Qiu Zhi no longer had the arrogance he had before. At this moment, he only wanted to be Qiu Muqing's servant so he could continue living. Even if he was humiliated, he was still alive. Muqing, please accept him. At the same time, Qiu Ping, the clan leader of Qiu clan, who was being supported by Qiu Muqing, finally regained his senses. He quickly persuaded Qiu Muqing to accept Qiu Zhi as her servant. Looking at Qiu Zhi, who had just injured him, Qiu Anping only felt elated. At the same time, he felt like he was dreaming, but he wasn't too surprised. Although Qiu Zhi's actions seemed crazy, he could understand why he would do so. After all, with Duan Lingtian's strength, there were only 2 options for Qiu Zhi. The first option was death. The second option was to live, but he had to become Qiu Muqing's servant. Father, Qiu Muqing was stunned when she heard her father's words. She did not expect her father would persuade her to accept Qiu Zhi as her servant as well. Muqing, your brother Li Feng isn't an ordinary person. You should be grateful that he has done so much for you. Qiu Ping said to Qiu Muqing through voice transmission. He was trying to persuade Qiu Muqing. He was not an ordinary person. At this moment, no matter how slow Chiu Muqing's reaction was, she could tell Duan Lingtian was not an ordinary person. If he was an ordinary person, how could he have killed Chiu Gang-yi, the second master of Chiu clan? How could he have forced Chiu Ji, the second master of Chiu clan, to kneel and beg for mercy and agree to become her servant? From the beginning until the end, even the Grand Elder of Chiu clan, who was the strongest person in Chiu clan, did not say a word. Clearly, even the Grand Elder of Chiu clan, the strongest person in Chiu clan, whom she respected the most, did not even dare to breathe loudly in front of Duan Lingtian. Chapter 2080. I'll agree to your request. Chiu Muqing glanced at Chiu Ji, who was kowtowing and begging for mercy, before she looked at Duan Lingtian, who was standing nearby. In the end, she finally agreed to Chiu Ji's request when she saw Duan Lingtian looking at her. Chiu Ji's body trembled when he heard Chiu Muqing's reply. "Thank you, Sister Muqing. Thank you, Sister Muqing." Chiu Ji finally stood up and stood behind Chiu Muqing. Soon after, he became Chiu Muqing's servant. "Clan leader, I apologize for offending you earlier. After this incident, I, Chiu Ji, won't even blink an eye if you punish me," Chiu Ji said to Chiu Enping after he stood behind Chiu Muqing. In the past, as the second elder of Chiu clan, he was much stronger than the clan leader of Chiu clan. He did not think much of the clan leader of Chiu clan. This could be seen from the fact that he had injured Chiu Enping when he fought with him earlier. However, things were different now. In Chiu Ji's eyes, Chiu Enping was no longer the clan leader of Chiu clan. He was the father of Chiu Muqing. As for Chiu Muqing, she was under the protection of the sexless cultivator who called himself Li Feng. After all, Li Feng could easily kill Chiu Enping. Since he had become Chiu Muqing's servant because of Li Feng, he did not dare to treat Chiu Enping as he did in the past. The great elder of the Chiu clan was standing not far away. When he saw that Chiu Ji was not dead, he couldn't help but feel relieved. At the same time, he felt cold sweat on his back. His clothes were soaked with cold sweat. The truth. When he first saw Li Feng and heard Li Feng was only a sexless cultivator, he did not think much of Li Feng at all. Later on, when he came to the main hall and heard the conditions of the clan leader of Dongfang clan, Dongfang Qian, he was willing to hand Li Feng over to appease the enmity between the Chiu clan and the Dongfang clan. After all, Li Feng was not a member of the Chiu clan. He did not think it was necessary for the Chiu clan to fall out with the Dongfang clan for Li Feng. Falling out with the Dongfang family would only be bad for the Chiu family and not good for them. If the clan fell out with the Dongfang clan, the Chiu clan would be destroyed, the Dongfang clan before the Chiu clan. Chiu Enping and the Dongfang clans and the Chiu clan. Compared to the overall situation of the clan, a mere rogue cultivator was insignificant. However, since Li Feng was Chiu Muqing's friend, and he treated Chiu Muqing as half a granddaughter, he did not express his opinion even though he had such thoughts. However, the development of the situation was completely out of his expectations. First, Chiu Ji, the second elder of the Chiu clan, had secretly betrothed Chiu Muqing to the second young master of the Dongfang clan without the permission of Chiu Enping and Chiu Muqing. Then, Li Feng, the sexless cultivator who had been inconspicuous since the beginning, stepped forward and reprimanded Chiu Ji. Chiu Ji was furious and wanted to make a move on Li Feng. At the critical moment, Chiu Gang-yi, the second master of the Chiu clan, made a move on Li Feng. However, he was instantly killed by Li Feng. Although Chiu Enping's cultivation base was close to the peak of the first form of the Saint Celestial stage, he did not see Li Feng's sword strike that killed Chiu Gang. It was to the extent that when the short-lived sword whistle sounded, waves of coldness involuntarily rose in his heart. At that moment, he had a feeling he was certain of. Even if he had been in Chiu Gang-yi's position, he would have been killed by that sword strike. The third form of the Saint Celestial stage. This Li Feng must be at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage or higher. I'm certain even a powerhouse at the second form of the Saint Celestial stage wouldn't be able to cast such a terrifying sword strike. This was the thought that came to the Grand Elder of Chiu clan when Duan Lingtian killed Chiu Muqing. He was not the only one who had such thoughts. The clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu Enping, the second elder of Chiu clan, Chiu Ji, the clan leader of the Dongfang clan, Dongfang Qian, and the grand elder and second elder of the Dongfang clan shared the same thoughts. For this reason, Chiu Ji had a mental breakdown when he saw Duan Lingtian approaching him menacingly. For this reason, the other 5 Saints Celestial Stage powerhouses, including the grand elder of Chiu clan, did not find it embarrassing when they saw Chiu Ji begging Duan Lingtian for mercy. In fact, they thought it was normal. The Chiu clan's main hall fell silent again. In the end, Duan Lingtian was the first to break the silence in the Chiu clan's main hall. Duan Lingtian turned around abruptly and looked at the group of people standing nearby. He just looked at them calmly. The group of people Duan Lingtian was looking at was none other than the people from the Dongfang clan. When the people from the Dongfang clan saw Duan Lingtian looking at them, they could not help but panic even though they were mentally prepared. Their expressions changed drastically. At the same time, Duan Lingtian slowly walked toward the people from the Dongfang clan. This scene was similar to when Duan Lingtian walked toward Chiu Ji, the second elder of Chiu clan. However, when Chiu Ji saw Duan Lingtian walking toward him, he immediately knelt and kowtowed to apologize. In the end, he even agreed to become Chiu Muqing's servant in order to save his own life. Will the people from the Dongfang clan kneel and kowtow to apologize like Chiu Ji? At this moment, the clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu Enping, and the grand elder of Chiu clan had the same question in their hearts. Every time Duan Lingtian took a step forward, a soft thud would ring in the air. When the soft thuds entered the ears of the people from the Dongfang clan, it was as though thunder had struck them. It caused their hearts to tremble. At this moment, only the second young master of the Dongfang clan, Dongfang Zhu, and the 2 ordinary elders from the Dongfang clan were in a better state. Although they knew Duan Lingtian was very strong, they did not know if Duan Lingtian was stronger than the 3 Saint Celestial Stage powerhouses from the Dongfang clan. At this moment, whether it was the clan leader of Dongfang clan, Dongfang Qian, or the grand elder and second elder of Dongfang clan, all of them were on the verge of breaking down when faced with Duan Lingtian, who was approaching them step by step. Naturally, they were different from Chiu Ji, who was alone and helpless earlier. Since the 3 of them were standing together, it was as though they were huddled together. Although they were wary of Duan Lingtian, they were still slightly better off than Chiu Ji. Even when Duan Lingtian was close to them, they did not kneel and beg for mercy like Chiu Ji did. However, the fear in their hearts was not any less than what Chiu Ji felt at that time. It seems like the clan leader, grand elder, and second elder aren't afraid of Li Feng. The calmness of the 3 Saint Celestial Stage powerhouses from the Dongfang clan misled Dongfang Zhu, the second young master of the Dongfang clan, and the 2 ordinary elders from the Dongfang clan. They thought Dongfang Qian and the other 2 were not afraid of Duan Lingtian, causing them to heave a sigh of relief. At the same time, they felt Duan Lingtian was not as scary as they thought. Dongfang Qian and the other 2 were unaware of Dongfang Zhu and the other 2's thoughts. Otherwise, they would have vomited blood from anger. Were they not afraid of the purple-clad young man? At this moment, they wished they could kneel and beg for mercy. They hoped Duan Lingtian would not look for trouble with them and the Dongfang clan. However, since the 3 of them were standing together without anyone taking the lead, they did not make a move. Earlier, Duan Lingtian's calm gaze instantly landed on Dongfang Qian, the clan leader of the Dongfang clan, and he said indifferently, "Clan leader of the Dongfang clan, it seems like you want the Chiu clan to hand me over to you. Are you going to invite me back to the Dongfang clan as a guest? Since the Dongfang clan's clan leader is so kind, it's difficult for me to refuse. I'll invite the Dongfang clan's clan leader back to the Dongfang clan. What do you think?" A hint of mockery could be seen in the depths of Duan Lingtian's eyes. When Dongfang Qian heard Duan Lingtian's words, he was so frightened that his legs turned to jelly. He almost fell to his knees. Dongfang Qian was so frightened that his legs turned to jelly. He wished he could slap himself twice and reprimand himself for saying those words. "Li Feng in your dreams." A loud shout suddenly resounded in the Chiu clan's great hall. It startled everyone in the Chiu clan's great hall and attracted everyone's attention. At this moment, everyone, including Duan Lingtian, shifted their gazes to the person who had shouted. Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes. As for the others, apart from the two ordinary elders of the Dongfang clan and the person who had shouted, they were all shocked. The person who had shouted was none other than Dongfang Zhu, the second young master of the Dongfang clan. Dongfang Zhu mustered his courage and looked at Duan Lingtian with a gloomy expression. When he saw everyone looking at him, he straightened his back and said sternly, "My father asked the Chiu clan to hand you over because he wants to kill you." Bang. Dongfang Zhu was interrupted before he could finish speaking. At the same time, a loud sound rang in the air, followed by a shrill cry. Two sounds rang in the air almost at the same time. Boom. After about half a breath, another soft sound rang in the air. It was the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground. Before Dongfang Zhu could finish his words, he was kicked away by the panicked Dongfang Gon. From the beginning to the end, Dongfang Gon didn't even have the time to reprimand Dongfang Zhu. He only had the time to stop Dongfang Zhu. When Dongfang Qian kicked Dongfang Zhu away, he was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. This bastard! Can't he see that this sectless cultivator is not to be trifled with? Can't he see that the Grand Elder, the Second Elder, and I have to act like cowards in front of him? Father! Dongfang Zhu, who had been kicked away and suffered a superficial wound, was furious. However, when he discovered that the person who kicked him was his father, he was stunned. "Father! What are you doing?" Chapter 2081. Dongfang Zhu did not suffer any injuries when he was sent flying because Dongfang Qian had held back. However, Dongfang Zhu was still dizzy from the fall. He did not know why his father would do this to him. However, he was stunned again in the next moment. At the same time that he was dumbfounded, the blood completely drained from his originally dumbfounded face. What replaced it was a deathly white sheet of paper. This was because a scene that he would never forget for the rest of his life had suddenly appeared before his eyes. Dongfang Qian, the clan leader of the Eastern Fang family, followed Qiu Ji, the second elder of the Qiu clan, and knelt in front of Duan Lingtian as though he was a lowly servant bowing to his master. "My lord, my son is not sensible. Please forgive him." Dongfang Qian's voice trembled as he knelt in front of Duan Lingtian. His voice was filled with fear and dread. It was as though the person standing in front of him was not a person, but a god of death who could take his life at any time. "If I didn't hear wrongly, your son said you wanted to kill me by asking the Qiu clan to hand me over?" Duan Lingtian's tone was as calm as before as he looked at Dongfang Gon, who was kneeling on the ground. However, there was a hint of killing intent in his voice at this moment. No. There's no such thing." Dongfang Qian was so frightened that his body trembled violently when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. At the same time, he hurriedly denied it. "Since there's no such thing, then you'll have to swear on the lightning penalty oath that you've never thought of killing me from the beginning until the end." Duan Lingtian obviously did not believe Dongfang Qian's words. When he spoke again, he made a request. When Dongfang Qian heard Duan Lingtian's request, not only did Dongfang Qian's expression change drastically, but the expressions of the people from the Eastern Fang family, including Dongfang Zhu, changed drastically as well. Their purpose in coming to the Qiu family today was to force the Qiu family to hand over the purple-robed young man and kill him. In that case, how could Dongfang Gon dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath according to Duan Lingtian's request? Once he made such an oath, he would be killed by the lightning punishment in the blink of an eye. The patriarch of the Eastern Fang family, Dongfang Gon, is finished. Qiu Ji, the second elder of Qiu clan, who was standing behind Qiu Muqing, was shocked when he heard Duan Lingtian's request. He knew Dongfang Gon was doomed. "I was confused for a moment. It was a moment of folly. Please forgive me. Please forgive me, my lord." Sensing that Duan Lingtian's calm gaze had become increasingly cold, Dongfang Gon also realized the danger. He immediately begged for mercy as he kowtowed. Bang, bang, bang. Once Dongfang Gon started kowtowing, there was no end to it. He had no intention of stopping for a long time. "Humph." Duan Lingtian snorted coldly. His expression gradually turned cold. He did not feel any better because of Dong Fanggon's kowtowing. I have a principle. At the same time, Duan Ling Tian said coldly, as long as it's someone who wants to kill me, I won't let him live in this world. In just one sentence, Duan Ling Tian had stated his principle. He would not let anyone who tried to kill him go. Then you can go to hell. As soon as Duan Ling Tian finished speaking, Dong Fanggon realized Duan Ling Tian would not let him go. Not only did he stop kowtowing, but he even shot up like a cannonball toward Duan Ling Tian. Based on the surge of Saint origin in his body, it was obvious he had been accumulating his strength for a long time. It was impossible for him to mobilize such a terrifying amount of Saint origin in such a short time. Hua! However, the moment Dong Fanggon shot up, a turbulent vortex appeared with Duan Ling Tian as the center. It once again devoured all the heaven and earth spirit energy in the Chiu family's main hall. It also caused the Sun Saint energy in Duan Ling Tian's body to rise rapidly to its peak. As the Sun Saint energy rose to its peak, Dong Fanggon had already arrived in front of Duan Ling Tian. He was only a short distance away from Duan Ling Tian. If you want to kill me, you have to have the strength to do so. Duan Ling Tian said calmly when he felt the gusts of wind that were stirred up by Dong Fanggon's arrival. Almost at the moment he opened his mouth. Xiu! Just like before, the sound of the sword whistling could be heard once again. Then, everyone saw Duan Ling Tian stomping on the ground and leaping 3 meters into the air. As soon as Duan Ling Tian leaped up, Dong Fanggon, the clan leader of the Eastern Fang family, followed in the footsteps of the Chiu family's second master, Chiu Gangyi. His body was severed into two and he was sent flying by the inertia. He slammed hard against the wall of the Chiu family's main hall, leaving a trail of blood behind him. Boom! Boom! When the two halves of the body fell to the ground, the sound entered everyone's ears. Their hearts trembled in fear. After all, the person who was killed was not a quintessential saint stage martial cultivator like Chiu Gangyi. He was a true saint celestial stage powerhouse, one of the top powerhouses in Clarity City. However, such a powerhouse had been killed in just a blink of an eye. He had died in front of their eyes. The Chiu family's main hall fell silent again. So weak. Everyone only regained their senses when Duan Ling Tian spoke again. Father! When Dong Fangzhu, the second young master of the Eastern Fang family, regained his senses, his face turned even paler. Fear could be seen in his eyes. Not even in his wildest dreams did he expect his father, who was like an invincible god of war, would die just like that. His father had died in the hands of this sexless cultivator who called himself Li Feng. At the same time, a sense of regret rose in his heart. He regretted that he had tried to seduce Chiu Muqing in the past. Why did he continue to pester her even after she had rejected him? If he did not do that, he would not have gone to the restaurant with Chiu Muqing. If he did not go to the restaurant, he would not have encountered this fiend. If he did not encounter this fiend, he would not have gotten into a conflict with this fiend and escalated the conflict to such an extent. Run! Dong Fangzhu's expression changed a few times when he saw Dong Fanggon's body. Then he moved like a bolt of lightning and charged out of the Chiu family's main hall. At this moment, he only wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. His father had kowtowed and begged for mercy, but he was still killed by Li Feng in the end. He didn't think that Li Feng would be merciful to him. However, would he be able to escape? Trying to escape? When Dong Fangzhu made his move, Duan Ling Tian raised his brows. The Sun Saint energy in his body calmed down immediately. He did not make a move. He did not make a move because someone else had already made a move. A gust of wind whistled in the air. Before Dong Fangzhu could escape from the Chiu clan's main hall, he was caught by someone like an eagle catching a chicken. Grand Elder. But why? At the same time, Dong Fangzhu, who was being carried like a chicken by an eagle, was shocked when he saw the person who had grabbed him. At the same time, he asked in disbelief, "Who are you?" This was because the person who caught him was none other than the Grand Elder of the Eastern Fang family. The Grand Elder of the Eastern Fang family was a tall and sturdy old man. He was almost 2 meters tall. Now that he was holding Dong Fangzhu in his hand, it looked like he was an eagle catching a chicken. Lord Li Feng. The Grand Elder of the Eastern Fang family ignored Dong Fangzhu's question and brought Dong Fangzhu to Duan Lingtian. He asked Duan Lingtian respectfully, "This Dong Fangzhu, how does Lord Li Feng want to deal with him? How should I deal with him?" Duan Lingtian looked at the Grand Elder of the Eastern Fang family indifferently and asked, "Didn't you hear what I said earlier?" When the Grand Elder of the Eastern Fang family heard this, his heart skipped a beat. He looked at Dong Fangzhu sharply. When Dong Fangzhu sensed the Grand Elder of the Eastern Fang family's sharp gaze, he seemed to realize something. His expression changed drastically, and he cried out in panic, "Grand Elder, you can't kill me! You can't kill me!" In the end, the Grand Elder of the Eastern Fang family directly broke Dong Fangzhu's neck and killed him. He acted decisively and without any hesitation. When the people from the Chiu family saw this, their hearts skipped a beat. They felt that the Grand Elder of the Eastern Fang family was ruthless. "Lord Li Feng, I came here because I was misled by Dong Fanggan and his son. I didn't mean to offend Lord Li Feng. I hope Lord Li Feng can forgive me." After killing Dong Fangzhu, the Grand Elder of the Eastern Fang family looked at Duan Lingtian respectfully and apologized. "Lord Li Feng, just like the Grand Elder, I didn't mean to offend you." At the same time, the second elder of the Eastern Fang family also expressed his stance. Bang, bang. As for the two ordinary elders of the Eastern Fang family, they kneeled on the ground as they trembled. "Lord Li Feng, please spare our lives. Lord Li Feng, please spare our lives." Just like that, a shocking scene played out in the Chiu family's main hall. A purple-clad young man who looked extremely young stood there motionlessly. In front of him, two old men with extraordinary bearings bowed respectfully. Their faces were filled with fear and anxiety. They looked like criminals who were waiting to be judged. Two old men kneeled on the ground nearby as they trembled in fear. "Who is he?" Chiu Muqing's beautiful eyes were filled with excitement when she saw the scenes in front of her. She could not help but look at the scenes in front of her. At the same time, Chiu Muqing became even more curious about Duan Lingtian's origin. Duan Lingtian? He's Duan Lingtian. Chiu Muqing suddenly recalled something. Her eyes widened in shock. Don't tell me he's the prodigy from the Zoroastrianism called Duan Lingtian?" Chapter 2082. In fact, before she returned to the Chiu clan and went to look for her father, Chiu Muqing was stunned when she heard Duan Lingtian's name. This was because the name Duan Lingtian was not unfamiliar to her. Perhaps, it was even familiar to people from the western region of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Although Clarity City, where the Chiu clan was located at the border of the western region, it was still located in the western region. News of the major events in the western region would spread to Clarity City. Most of the major events in the western region came from the fire worship sect, the saint sect of the western region. Apart from being the religion of many people in the western region, Zoroastrianism was also one of the three great sects in the Dao Martial Saint Land. It was one of the three most powerful sects in the Dao Martial Saint Land. For this reason, many people in the western region paid attention to Zoroastrianism. Not long ago, a shocking piece of news had spread from Zoroastrianism. Not only did it shock the entire western region, but it had also spread to the entire upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. This piece of news came from a new prodigy in Zoroastrianism. Ever since that prodigy was born, there were 8 new prodigies in the younger generation of Zoroastrianism. The 8 new prodigies in Zoroastrianism were all powerhouses who had entered the supreme saint ranking at a young age. The weakest among them was at the second form of the Saint Celestial stage. Moreover, they were all elites at the second form of the Saint Celestial stage. Duan Lingtian? Isn't that the name of the new prodigy in Zoroastrianism? This was the first thing that appeared in Chiu Muqing's mind when she heard Duan Lingtian's name. Before today, Chiu Muqing had already remembered Duan Lingtian's name in her heart. This was because it was the name of the 8th prodigy in Zoroastrianism. Chiu Muqing knew Duan Lingtian, the new prodigy of the Zoroastrianism. Duan Lingtian, one of the 8 heavenly sons of Zoroastrianism, was also a newly born heavenly son. It was said that he had joined Zoroastrianism for less than a year. And it was in this less than a year's time that Li Shiqiang and the others had arrived. Duan Lingtian had made a name for himself in Zoroastrianism. He was ranked 4th among the 8 great Zoroastrianism prodigies. His ranking on the Zoroastrianism true ranking was second only to 3 true disciples whose cultivation bases were at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage. Moreover, he had entered the Supreme Saint ranking and was ranked 537th on the Supreme Saint ranking. This was Qiu family's Mu Qing's understanding of Duan Lingtian, the prodigy of Zoroastrianism. However, Qiu Mu Qing was unaware of this. Not long ago, Duan Lingtian from the fire worship sect had defeated Bu Hong, a true disciple at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage, who was ranked 2nd on the true ranking. He had replaced Bu Hong and became the new 2nd person on the true ranking. Currently, Duan Lingtian was widely acknowledged as the 2nd strongest prodigy among the younger generation of Zoroastrianism. Apart from that, Bu Hong, who was defeated by Duan Lingtian, was ranked 2nd on the Zoroastrianism true ranking, and he was ranked at the 421st place on the Supreme Saint ranking as well. Since Duan Lingtian had defeated Bu Hong, it meant Bu Hong was now ranked at the 421st place on the Supreme Saint ranking. The reason Qiu Mu Qing was unaware of this was because the news had not spread to Kongming City yet. They're both called Duan Lingtian, and they're both so young and so strong. Could it be that he's really Duan Lingtian, the prodigy of Zoroastrianism? The more Qiu Mu Qing thought about it, the more certain she became. She had met the purple-clad young man in the restaurant earlier. He was indeed Duan Lingtian, the prodigy of Zoroastrianism. If he's really Duan Lingtian, then it makes sense why he asked me to conceal his real name. It's said that he has offended many people in Zoroastrianism, including high-ranking officials in Zoroastrianism. He must be worried the high-ranking officials in Zoroastrianism would harm him if they found out he's in Clarity City. Qiu Mu Qing was very smart. Based on the information she had gathered, she was able to guess Duan Lingtian's thoughts. She only guessed half of what Duan Lingtian was thinking. Duan Lingtian did not want the high-ranking officials in Zoroastrianism to know he was in Clarity City because he was worried the high-ranking officials in Zoroastrianism would harm the Qiu clan and Qiu Mu Qing after he left Clarity City. Duan Lingtian was not worried at all. After all, he had only stayed in Clarity City for a short time. By the time the high-ranking officials in Zoroastrianism learned he was in Clarity City, he would have left Clarity City. All of you don't want to die? When the 4 elders from Dongfang clan were waiting anxiously for Duan Lingtian's judgment, Duan Lingtian finally opened his mouth and asked the 4 of them if they did not want to die. The clan leader, Grand Elder, and 2nd Elder of Qiu clan were rendered speechless when they heard Duan Lingtian's words. If they did not want to die, would the 4 elders from the Eastern Fang clan be so cowardly? They felt Duan Lingtian's question was unnecessary. Naturally, they only thought about it in their hearts. They did not dare to say it out loud for fear of angering Duan Lingtian. Based on the strength displayed by this sectless cultivator who called himself Li Feng, it would be easy for him to kill all 3 of them, let alone a few Saint Celestial stage powerhouses from the Eastern Fang clan. Lord, I don't want to die. The Grand Elder of the Eastern Fang clan was the first to speak. He had a panicked expression on his face. If he did not want to die, he would not have worked so hard to capture Dongfang Zhu, the 2nd young master of the Eastern Fang clan, and bring him to Duan Lingtian. With Duan Lingtian's strength, Dongfang Zhu would not have been able to escape. However, he had done this because he wanted to show off to Duan Lingtian. Lord, I don't want to die as well. The 2nd Elder of the Eastern Fang clan chimed in a panic. Lord Li Feng, I don't want to die. Lord Li Feng, I don't want to die. The other 2 elders from the Eastern Fang clan who were kneeling on the ground also expressed their stance. At the same time, they felt even more anxious. At this moment, their lives were in the hands of this purple-clad young man before them. If he wanted them to live, they would live. If he wanted them to die, they would die. It's not difficult for all of you to live, Duan Lingtian said indifferently before he paused for a moment. The eyes of the 4 elders from the Eastern Fang clan lit up immediately. It was as though they had found a life-saving straw. However, you'll have to show me your sincerity. Duan Lingtian paused for a moment before he continued to speak. At this moment, Duan Lingtian shifted his gaze from the four elders from the Eastern Fang clan to Qiu Muqing, the eldest daughter of the Qiu clan. He remained silent after that. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, the four elders from the Eastern Fang clan were staring at Duan Lingtian. For this reason, they immediately noticed Duan Lingtian's gaze. They followed Duan Lingtian's gaze and saw Qiu Muqing standing in the distance. I, Dong Fangpe, swear on my blood. The grand elder of the Eastern Fang clan immediately regained his senses. He quickly pricked his finger and squeezed out a drop of blood before he said in a loud voice, "From today onward, I'll become the eldest daughter of the Qiu Muqing. From today onward I, Dong Fangpe, will acknowledge Qiu Muqing as my master. I'll only obey Sister Muqing's orders and won't do anything to harm Sister Muqing. If I violate this oath, I'm willing to be struck to death by the 99 heavenly tribulation." Dong Fangpe, the grand elder of the Eastern Fang clan, said, "Boom, boom, 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 boom." 9 claps of thunder descended from the sky in response to the lightning penalty oath that Dong Fangpe had just sworn. Qiu Muqing was dumbfounded. Did she have another servant? Moreover, this servant was even stronger than Qiu Ji, the second elder of Qiu clan. His strength was comparable to the grand elder of Qiu clan. Qiu Muqing and the grand elder of Qiu clan were stunned. He did not expect Dong Fangpe, the grand elder of the Eastern Fang clan, who was as powerful as him in Clarity City, would willingly acknowledge Qiu Muqing as his master and become her servant in order to survive. However, if he was in Dong Fangpe's shoes, he might have made the same decision as well. After all, it was not easy for him to attain his current cultivation base. If he died, he would lose thousands of years of his life. In order to survive, it was not important for him to maintain his dignity. Qiu Ji, the second elder of Qiu clan, was not surprised when he saw this. It was as though he had expected this to happen. On the other hand, Qiu Enping, the clan leader of Qiu clan, was dumbfounded. Dong Fangpe, the grand elder of the Eastern Fang clan, was as powerful as the grand elder of Qiu clan. In the past, Dong Fangpe was someone whom Qiu Enping had to look up to. However, he had sworn on the lightning penalty oath to acknowledge his daughter as his master? I'm not dreaming, am I? Qiu Enping was initially stunned. Later on, after confirming that he wasn't dreaming, he couldn't help but be wild with joy. Dong Fangpe had become his daughter's servant. This meant Dong Fangpe was considered a member of the Qiu clan. If the strongest clan in Clarity City, the Feng clan, attacked the Qiu clan, Dong Fangpe would not hesitate to help. Soon after, the overjoyed expression on Qiu Enping's face froze. This was because he heard Dong Fangpe's words. Dong Fangliang, the second elder of the Eastern Fang clan, had also sworn on the lightning penalty oath to acknowledge his daughter, Qiu Muqing, as his master. Qiu Enping was excited again. Qiu Enping was not the only one who was excited. Even the grand elder of Qiu clan was excited. In the past, the reason the Qiu clan was afraid of the strongest clan in Clarity City, the Feng clan, was because the Feng clan had 5 Saint Celestial Stage powerhouses. The 2 strongest Saint Celestial Stage powerhouses were on par with the Grand Elder of Qiu clan. The other 2 were on par with the Second Elder of Qiu clan. The Qiu clan had joined forces with the Eastern Fang clan in hopes that the Grand Elder and Second Elder of the Eastern Fang clan would help the Qiu clan fend off the Feng clan. The Eastern Fang clan was the same. They hoped the Grand Elder and Second Elder of Qiu clan would help them at a critical moment. Chapter 2083. The clan leader of Qiu clan and the Grand Elder of Qiu clan were excited because of this. Now that the Grand Elder and Second Elder of the Eastern Fang clan had become Qiu Muqing's servants, they did not have to worry about the Feng clan coming to look for trouble with them as long as Qiu Muqing was in the Qiu clan. I'm willing to acknowledge Sister Muqing as my master as well. At the same time, the 2 elders of the Eastern Fang clan who were kneeling on the ground swore on the lightning penalty oath as well. Another 2 waves of thunder resonated in the air as the 2 elders swore on the lightning penalty oath. In just 15 minutes, 5 waves of thunder resonated in the sky above the Chiu clan's main hall. Each wave was made up of 9 claps of thunder. For a time, the Chiu family's elders and disciples, as well as some servants and maids, were alarmed. What's going on? It's already the 5th wave of thunder. Who dares to swear on the lightning penalty oath 5 times in a row? It seems like the 5 waves of thunder came from the Chiu clan's main hall. It seems like the Eastern Fang clan has come to look for trouble with us. Sister has gone overboard this time. The clan leader and the others must have sworn on the lightning penalty oath to promise the Eastern Fang clan something. I think so too. When has the Chiu clan ever been so humiliated? I hate it. In the Chiu clan mansion, whether it was the Chiu clan's elders, disciples, maids, or servants, they all thought that the 5 thunderclaps were in response to the lightning penalty oath that the Chiu clan's clan leader and other higher-ups had sworn. Under the threat of the Eastern Fang clan's high-ranking officials, the Chiu clan's high-ranking officials had sworn on the lightning penalty oath 5 times. If news of this spread out, how would they be able to face anyone when they went out? For this reason, the Chiu clan's members felt extremely humiliated. Fortunately, the clan leader of Chiu clan, Chiu and Ping, and the other high-ranking officials were unaware of their thoughts. In the Chiu clan's main hall, Duan Lingtian looked at Chiu Muqing and said with a smile, "Sister Chiu, let's go back." Chiu Muqing was stunned for a moment before she nodded. However, after noticing the ambiguous gazes of everyone present, her beautiful cheeks flushed red again. In the end, she shyly followed Duan Lingtian out of the Chiu family's main hall. After Chiu Muqing left with Duan Lingtian, everyone in the Chiu clan heaved a sigh of relief. In front of Duan Lingtian, they could feel an invisible pressure that made it hard for them to breathe. Now that Duan Lingtian was gone, the pressure was naturally gone. Congratulations, Patriarch. At the same time, both the Grand Elder and the Second Elder of Chiu clan, Chiu Ji, congratulated Chiu and Ping. First Elder, Second Elder, what's the good news? Seeing the 2 elders of the Chiu family congratulate him, Chiu and Ping couldn't help but be startled. Patriarch, anyone with a discerning eye can see that the relationship between Sister Muqing and Lord Li Feng is not ordinary. I'm afraid that it won't be long before the 2 of them become a couple. Chiu Ji smiled. However, when he mentioned Lord Li Feng, the fear that came from the bottom of his heart and soul appeared in his eyes. As soon as Chiu Ji finished speaking, the Grand Elder of Chiu clan nodded as well. Patriarch Chiu, congratulations. At the same time, the Grand Elder of the Eastern Fang family, Dongfang Pe, the Second Elder of the Eastern Fang family, Dongfang Liang, and the other 2 elders of the Eastern Fang family congratulated Chiu and Ping as well. There was a hint of envy in the depths of the 4 people's gazes. They envied Chiu and Ping for having a daughter who could become a couple with Lord Li Feng. Everyone, isn't it a little too early to celebrate? At this moment, Chiu and Ping finally regained his senses. He could not help but smile wryly. He was not as optimistic as he thought. After witnessing the strength of the sectless cultivator who called himself Li Feng, he knew Duan Lingtian was not an ordinary person. Would his daughter be able to tie down such a person? Perhaps, even if Li Feng was really close to his daughter, he was just putting on an act. Patriarch Chiu, the fact that Lord Li Feng is willing to do this for Sister Chiu shows how much he values Sister Chiu. You'll be a grandfather soon, Dongfang Pe said with a smile. The others nodded in agreement as well. Soon after, Dongfang Pe changed the topic. He looked at Chiu and Ping and said, Patriarch Chiu, from now on, Dongfang Liang and I are Sister Muqing's servants. I've already discussed this with Dongfang Liang. From now on, as long as Sister Muqing is in the Chiu clan, and as long as we're in the Eastern Fang family, the Eastern Fang family will be the Chiu clan's subsidiary. After we return to the clan, we'll support an obedient person to become the new patriarch of the Chiu clan. From now on, both of our clans don't have to fear the Feng clan anymore. Chiu and Ping's eyes lit up when he heard Dongfang Po's words. Even the Grand Elder of Chiu clan was overjoyed. However, the Feng clan, the most powerful clan in Clarity City, did not expect this at all. On this day, the structure of Kongming City underwent a great change. In just a day, the Chiao clan had become a clan that could contend with the Feng clan, because the Dongfang family had become a subsidiary of the Chiao family. Of course, even in the future, no one would know that the Eastern Fang family had become a subsidiary of the Chiao family. They will only know, not only did the Eastern Fang family not fall out with the Chiao family, but their relationship with the Chiao family was getting better and better. They even formed an impregnable alliance, which made the Feng family fearful. For many years to come, the Feng family would not dare to think of annexing either of the two clans again. Of course, these were all matters for the future. The Chiao clan's main hall was quite a distance away from Chiao Muqing's residence. However, when Chiao Muqing followed Duan Lingtian back to the main hall, she felt the journey was too short. It felt like only a moment had passed. She did not even have the time to speak to Duan Lingtian before she returned to her residence. Naturally, she did not speak to Duan Lingtian because Duan Lingtian did not take the initiative to speak, and she could not muster up the courage to do so. The reason such a situation had occurred was because she had guessed and confirmed Duan Lingtian's identity. Duan Lingtian was one of the 8 great prodigies of the Zoroastrianism. She had to look up to him. In front of Duan Lingtian, she was just an insignificant woman. Why didn't you speak during the journey? After Duan Lingtian returned to Chiao Muqing's independent mansion, he walked to the pavilion in the front courtyard and sat in front of a stone table. He looked at Chiao Muqing, who followed him in, and asked with a smile on his face. After Chiao Muqing entered the pavilion, she stood on the other side of the stone table and did not sit down. However, a complicated expression could be seen in her beautiful eyes as she looked at Duan Lingtian. Sister Chiao. Duan Lingtian was slightly puzzled when he saw Chiao Muqing's expression. Could it be that Chiao Muqing was so frightened by the strength he had displayed earlier that she no longer dared to interact with him like before? The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, although he was slightly puzzled, he knew it was understandable. However, the smile on Duan Lingtian's face froze when he heard Chiao Muqing's words. You're Duan Lingtian, the prodigy of the Zoroastrianism, right? Chiao Muqing's question shocked Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian was shocked. How did you know? Duan Lingtian took a deep breath to calm himself down. He did not deny it. He looked at Chiao Muqing in shock. Your strength and your name. Moreover, you didn't allow me to reveal your real name. Upon hearing Chiao Muqing's words, Duan Lingtian finally recalled something. Currently, he was no longer invisible when he had just entered the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Currently, not only had he made a name for himself in the Zoroastrianism, but he had also made a name for himself in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. He was one of the 1,000 powerhouses on the Supreme Saint ranking. It seems like I'm right. Duan Lingtian's reaction told Chiao Muqing that she had guessed correctly. At the same time, Duan Lingtian gestured for Chiao Muqing to sit down. After she sat down, she immediately thanked Duan Lingtian gratefully. Brother Lingtian, thank you. Naturally, she was thanking Duan Lingtian for helping her and the Chiao clan out of their predicament. It's nothing to me. You don't have to thank me for this since we're friends. Duan Lingtian shook his head. Perhaps, it's nothing to you, Brother Lingtian, but it's something very important to me and the Chiao clan. Chiao Muqing said solemnly. It doesn't matter. Since you've thanked me, there's no need to mention it anymore. Duan Lingtian shook his head again before he changed the topic. Sister Chiao, Before Duan Lingtian could finish his sentence, Chiao Muqing interrupted him. Brother Lingtian, you can just call me Muqing? Sister Chiao doesn't sound like a friend at all. In the end, Chiao Muqing's beautiful face flushed red again. She looked as shy as a young girl. Then I'll call you Muqing. Duan Lingtian readily agreed. Brother Lingtian, what were you thinking about earlier? Chiao Muqing asked apologetically. She was, naturally, apologetic because she had interrupted Duan Lingtian before he could finish his sentence. It was very rude of her to do so. It's nothing much. Duan Lingtian shook his head before he asked. I just wanted to ask you if you know where there are many villains in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land? For example, where is a large group of evil men gathered? This was the reason Duan Lingtian had come to Clarity City. He wanted to find a place where villains gathered so he could devour their innate spiritual roots to strengthen his own innate spiritual root. Chapter 2084. From the beginning until the end, Duan Lingtian had never forgotten the reason he left Zoroastrianism. He could devour other people's innate spiritual roots and improve his own innate spiritual roots so that he would possess a stronger innate talent and improve his strength in a short time. Only by improving his strength would he be able to save Kerr and their daughter from Zoroastrianism. Today, apart from the innate spiritual root of Dongfang Zhu, the second young master of the Eastern Fang family, who was killed by Dongfang Pe, the grand elder of the Fang family, Duan Lingtian had already devoured the innate spiritual root of Dongfang Zhu. However, he did not devour the innate spiritual roots of Qiu Gang Yi, the second master of Qiu clan, and Dongfang Qian, the clan leader of the Eastern Fang family. Naturally, there must be a reason for this. When he was in the Qiu clan's main hall, he had killed Qiu Gang Yi and Dongfang Qian to intimidate everyone. At that time, his actions were clean and efficient. His image was lofty and cold. At that time, if he were to devour their innate spiritual roots like how he devoured Dongfang Zhu's innate spiritual root in the restaurant today, it would undoubtedly affect his domineering aura. He would not be able to achieve his desired effect. If that happened, his lofty and cold image would have been damaged. Apart from that, Qiu Gang Yi and Dongfang Qian's innate spiritual roots were also useless. Even if he had devoured their innate spiritual roots, they would not be of much help to him. Their innate spiritual roots were green at most. In fact, Qiu Gang Yi's innate spiritual root might only be yellow. Even if he had devoured their innate spiritual roots, his dark blue innate spiritual root would not have any obvious improvement. For this reason, Duan Lingtian did not devour their innate spiritual roots after weighing the pros and cons naturally. This was because he had other concerns. Otherwise, Duan Lingtian would have devoured their innate spiritual roots. After all, a mosquito was still meat. A place where villains gather? Qiu Muqing was stunned when she heard Duan Lingtian's words. Immediately after, her pair of beautiful autumn eyes involuntarily revealed some fear, as if she had suddenly thought of something. What? Do you know where I can find it? Duan Lingtian, who had been looking at Qiu Muqing since the beginning, had noticed the change in Qiu Muqing's eyes. He could not help but ask anxiously. After all, he was eager to find a place where villains gathered so he could devour their innate spiritual roots without any restraint. As long as the person was weaker than him, he would be able to devour their innate spiritual root. Of course, he had his own principles and would not casually devour other people's innate spiritual roots. I don't know if that place can be considered as a place where villains gather. However, according to what I know, the people in that place are extremely terrifying. It's normal for them to injure and kill others because of a disagreement. Qiu Muqing's beautiful face stiffened slightly when she heard Duan Lingtian's question. She only replied after a while. Qiu Muqing's voice was filled with dread when she mentioned that place. Is it normal to hurt and kill people because of a disagreement? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes when he heard Qiu Muqing's words. He asked, "What kind of place is that?" That place is located in the central region. It's adjacent to one of the three great sects, the Zhuangzi Buddhism. Naturally, that place has nothing to do with Zhuangzi Buddhism. Even Zhuangzi Buddhism's disciples might be killed if they enter that place without the accompaniment of a senior. Moreover, the Zhuangzi Buddhism can't even find out who killed them. Qiu Muqing continued to speak. The fear in her eyes grew even more intense. Zhuangzi Buddhism. However, when Duan Lingtian heard Qiu Muqing's words, he changed his opinion of her. The Zhuangzi Buddhism was one of the three great sects in the Dao Martial Saint Land. Naturally, Duan Lingtian was aware of this. However, the reason he became agitated when he heard the words Zhuangzi Buddhism was because of the person who had come to the Debussy subterranean, intruded the Azure Cloud Mansion, killed Elder Ku, and snatched the Devil Seal tablet from him. He was Elder Xiezong of the Zhuangzi Buddhism. He was also the only son of the Golden Lion King, one of the four kings of the Zhuangzi Buddhism. Xiezong. In just a blink of an eye, a figure dressed in a long gray robe appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. It was a middle-aged man with cross-eyed and a ferocious expression. This person was none other than Elder Xiezong of the Zhuangzi Buddhism, who had intruded the Azure Cloud Mansion in the lower province. Duan Lingtian still remembered Xiezong's actions. At that time, Xiezong had not only snatched the Devil Seal tablet from Duan Lingtian, but he had also killed his father's right-hand man, Elder Ku. Not only that, but a group of black armored guards had also died in Xiezong's hands. Duan Lingtian and Xiezong had long formed an irreconcilable enmity between them. When Duan Lingtian heard the place Chiu Muqing mentioned was adjacent to the Zhuangzi Buddhism where Xiezong was, he could not help but become agitated. "Big brother Lingtian, what's wrong?" Chiu Muqing, naturally, noticed the change in Duan Lingtian's emotions. "It's nothing." Duan Lingtian shook his head when he regained his senses. Then, he said to Chiu Muqing, "Muqing, tell me more about the place you mentioned earlier." "All right." Chiu Muqing nodded obediently before she said slowly, "The place I mentioned is located in the central province. It's called Sin City." A hint of dread could be seen in the depths of Chiu Muqing's eyes when she heard the word Sin City. Although she had never been there before, However, just hearing others mention that place was enough to make her feel apprehensive. "Sin City?" Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes. He did not interrupt Chiu Muqing and waited for her to continue. Sin City is a city that has existed since the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. It has a long history, Duan Lingtian explained. Chiu Muqing continued to say, "It said that Sin City was founded by a powerhouse at the 9th form of the Saint's celestial stage. That powerhouse was a sectless cultivator. For this reason, most of the sectless cultivators in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land are gathered in Sin City. Many of the powerhouses among the sectless cultivators usually stay there. Apart from that, I also heard that many of the sectless cultivators in Sin City are on par with high-ranking officials from the 3 great sects. There are even sectless cultivators who are on par with the sect leaders of the 3 great sects in Sin City." "I agree. There must be sectless cultivators who are on par with the sect leaders of the 3 great sects in Sin City. Otherwise, how could Sin City be located so close to the Zhuangzi Buddhism's estate? All these years, the Zhuangzi Buddhism hasn't done anything to Sin City at all." Chiu Muqing paused for a moment when she reached this point. She wanted to give Duan Lingtian some time to digest her words. "Sin City? A city founded by a sectless cultivator at the 9th form of the Saint's celestial stage? It has existed since the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land? Moreover, Sin City is located so close to the Zhuangzi Buddhism's estate. Even the Zhuangzi Buddhism has never done anything to Sin City. If that's the case, there must be powerhouses on par with the sect leaders of the 3 great sects in Sin City. Otherwise, with the Zhuangzi Buddhism's strength, how could they allow others to sleep beside them?" Soon after, Duan Lingtian digested Chiu Muqing's words. "Muqing, please continue." Duan Lingtian reminded her after he finished digesting Chiu Muqing's words. Chiu Muqing nodded before she continued to say, "I'm sure Brother Lingtian can guess from my words that there are many sectless cultivators in Sin City. As for these rogue cultivators, they don't belong to any forces. Since they've gathered in Sin City, they naturally have all sorts of evil characters. It's because of their existence that the city of Sin is in chaos. That's how the name Sin City came about. A long time ago, Sin City didn't have this name. Due to the large number of sectless cultivators in Sin City, all sorts of conflicts are unavoidable. It's very common to injure and kill people. Moreover, in Sin City, those who aren't at the Saint's celestial stage or above don't dare to go out at night. Even if they want to go out, they have to be accompanied by a powerhouse at the Saint's celestial stage or above. This is all I know about Sin City," Chiu Muqing said as she looked at Duan Lingtian. After Chiu Muqing finished speaking, she looked at Duan Lingtian and said, "Although I don't know why you're looking for a place where villains gather, I'm sure Sin City is the place with the most villains in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Listen, there are many people who eat the flesh, bones, and blood of their own kind in that place." Chiu Muqing's face turned slightly pale when she heard Duan Lingtian's words. It was apparent she was shocked by the actions of these people. Humans ate the flesh, bones, and blood of their own kind. Normal people would not be able to accept this. Naturally, Duan Lingtian could not accept this as well. His expression turned grave when he heard Chiu Muqing's words. He knew this was the place where Sin City was located. Sin City was the place he was looking for after he left Zoroastrianism. I've decided. I'll go to Sin City. Soon after, Duan Lingtian made up his mind. He would go to Sin City to pick villains and devour their innate spiritual roots. If it was the same as Chiu Muqing, there was no lack of villains in Sin City. Muqing, have you been to Sin City before? Duan Lingtian asked Chiu Muqing after he took a deep breath and regained his senses. Chiu Muqing shook her head when she heard Duan Lingtian's question. She did not want to go to that place at all. Then why do I feel like you know Sin City so well? Duan Lingtian asked in surprise. Chapter 2085. I've only heard about it from the sectless cultivators in the city when I go out for a meal, Chiu Muqing said when she saw Duan Lingtian's surprised expression. Apart from that, I've also heard that the alliance leader of the sectless cultivators alliance in Clarity City is from Sin City. Duan Lingtian had heard about the sectless cultivators alliance in Clarity City when he was in the restaurant earlier. He knew it was an alliance formed by sectless cultivators. The alliance was formed to protect the rights of sectless cultivators so the three major clans in Clarity City would not dare to bully sectless cultivators. It was said that the alliance leader of the sectless cultivators alliance in Clarity City was also a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse. What a joke! If his strength was weak, how could he threaten the three major clans in Clarity City? I don't know about the details of Sin City, but I think the alliance leader of the sectless cultivators alliance in Clarity City should know about it. Chiu Muqing continued to say, if Brother Lingtian wants to know more about Sin City, you can look for him. All right. Duan Lingtian nodded. He had the same intention as well. Muqing. Duan Lingtian looked at Chiu Muqing and smiled faintly. I'm very happy to have met you in Clarity City. I hope we'll have a chance to meet again in the future. Brother Lingtian, why you're leaving? Chiu Muqing knew Duan Lingtian intended to leave when she heard Duan Lingtian's words. Her beautiful face tensed up immediately. Duan Lingtian nodded. Didn't I tell you that I have something to do in Clarity City? The reason I came here is to find out where the villains are gathered. Now, I already have the answer. Chiu Muqing did not expect Duan Lingtian to come to Clarity City for this. Due to this reason, her expression turned solemn. Big Brother Lingtian, why you're not planning to go to Sin City, right? Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. There was nothing to hide. Chiu Muqing's expression changed when she heard Duan Lingtian's words. Brother Lingtian, although you're strong and almost invincible in Clarity City, however, there are powerhouses at the 7th form of the Saint Celestial stage in Sin City. There were many powerhouses at the 4th form of the Saint Celestial stage as well. In the end, Chiu Muqing was so anxious that she did not know what to do. Duan Lingtian felt warmth in his heart when he heard the concern in Chiu Muqing's voice. He said solemnly, Muqing, I know you're worried about my safety, but I have to go to Sin City no matter what. My wife and daughter are now imprisoned in a dark place. Only by going to Sin City can I save them in a shorter time. Duan Lingtian told Chiu Muqing about his intention to save his wife and daughter. Naturally, he did not mention his wife and daughter were imprisoned by Zoroastrianism. There was another reason he brought up his wife and daughter. Based on how Chiu Muqing addressed him as Brother Lingtian and how she acted like a young girl when she spoke to him, Duan Lingtian could tell she had fallen in love with him. Even if Chiu Muqing did not fall in love with him, he was certain she had fallen in love with him. Duan Lingtian brought up his wife because he wanted to cut off Chiu Muqing's thoughts. It was undeniable that Chiu Muqing was outstanding in all aspects. As a man, he was naturally attracted to her. However, as soon as he thought of his 2 wives and his lover, Feng Tianwu, whose whereabouts were unknown, he could not bring himself to have any thoughts of romance with other women. A man could be sentimental, but he could not be promiscuous. Duan Lingtan had always thought this way and had always abided by this principle. You have a wife? As expected, Chiu Muqing's face turned pale when she heard Duan Lingtian's words. Her bright eyes dimmed as though they had lost their luster. At this moment, Chiu Muqing looked like she had lost all interest in life. Yes. Duan Lingtan nodded before he said, "For this reason, it's time for me to leave. Muqing, the 3 old fellows are my gifts to you before I leave. As long as they're here, you won't have to worry about anyone forcing you to do things you don't want to do in Clarity City." As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, he disappeared before Chiu Muqing's eyes and left the Chiu clan's estate in just a blink of an eye. With Duan Lingtian's speed, it was only natural that Chiu Muqing could not catch sight of him. When Duan Lingtian disappeared, Chiu Muqing finally regained her senses. The words Duan Lingtian said before he left still reverberated in her ears. You won't have to worry about anyone forcing you to do things you don't want to do in Clarity City. Duan Lingtian's words touched Chiu Muqing's soft spot. Before Duan Lingtian appeared, she had been troubled by the marriage between her and Dong Fangzhu. However, after Duan Lingtian appeared, not only did he help her solve this problem, but he even gave her 3 super guards, allowing her to become one of the most powerful people in Clarity City. Currently, her status in the Chiu clan was even higher than her father and the Grand Elder of Chiu clan whom she used to idolize the most. Brother Lingtian, Chiu Muqing muttered under her breath. Her eyes were filled with determination as she stared in the direction Duan Lingtian had left. No one knew what she was thinking. Chiu Muqing was certain Duan Lingtian had left in the direction Duan Lingtian had left because the flowers and plants in the area swayed violently as though a gust of wind had blown past them. Duan Lingtian had come and gone like the wind and disappeared before Chiu Muqing's eyes. Although Duan Lingtian had disappeared from Chiu Muqing's sight, Chiu Muqing still remembered him deeply in her heart. It was as though he was branded in her heart. Duan Lingtian did not expect this at all. Soon after, Duan Lingtian saw Chiu Muqing again. However, this time, it was not in Clarity City. Naturally, this was a matter for the future. After Duan Lingtian left the Chiu clan's estate, he went to look for the leader of the Sectless Cultivators Alliance, a powerhouse at the first form of the Saint's Celestial Stage. The Emerald Cloud Pavilion was the largest brothel in Clarity City. It belonged to the Feng clan, the strongest clan in Clarity City. There were the best dancers, the best musicians, and the best prostitutes in Clarity City. Those who had a high status in Clarity City would occasionally come here to relax and enjoy themselves. They would either watch the dancing, listen to the music, or talk about life with the prostitutes. In the Emerald Cloud Pavilion, a middle-aged man with a medium build and an ordinary appearance sat in front of a stone table in a pavilion in a luxurious and spacious courtyard. There were 2 beautiful women sitting next to him. One of the women was constantly picking up grapes from the stone table, peeling them one by one and putting them into his mouth. The other woman was massaging his feet. Every movement was extremely gentle and just right. However, the middle-aged man was not looking at the 2 women. Instead, he was looking at the empty space in front of the pavilion. In the open space, there were 9 dancers swaying their graceful bodies. Their every movement was so professional that even people who didn't know how to dance would only feel a burst of joy when they saw their dance. Alliance leader Wang really knows how to enjoy life. Compared to Sin City, this place is much more comfortable, right? A voice suddenly rang in the air. The middle-aged man in the pavilion was taken aback. His expression changed immediately as he stood up. As for the 2 women beside him, they were also frightened to the point that their faces turned pale. "Who's there?" the middle-aged man shouted as he looked around. The 9 dancers were so frightened that they stopped what they were doing. At the same time, a purple-clad young man landed in front of the pavilion as though a gust of wind had blown past. It was none other than Duan Lingtian who had just left the Chiu clan's estate. Since Duan Lingtian was here, it was only natural that the middle-aged man's identity was revealed. He was none other than the leader of the Sectless Cultivators Alliance in Clarity City, Wang Efo. "Who are you? Why are you disturbing my dance?" Looking at Duan Lingtian, Wang Yifo's expression darkened as he spoke in a low voice. As soon as Wang Yifo questioned Duan Ling Tian, the Sun Saint energy in Duan Ling Tian's body surged out and formed a whirlpool in just a blink of an eye. Devouring skill. Soon after, the heaven and earth spirit energy in the surroundings was completely absorbed by Duan Ling Tian. His Sun Saint energy had also risen to its peak. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. It was so fast that Wang Yifo could not react in time. When Wang Yifo came to his senses, he was naturally vigilant. At the same time, he raised his hand and a broad saber appeared in his hand. As the saint energy in Wang Yifo's body surged out and merged with the saber began to emit a sharp aura. One could tell it was 100 inscriptions saint weapon from the aura emitted by the saber. 100 inscriptions saint weapon. Not bad. At the same time, Duan Ling Tian took a step forward. His expression was as calm as ever as he spoke. Just as Duan Ling Tian's foot landed on the ground, a voice rang out. All of a sudden, whoosh! A fleeting sound of a sword whistling rang in Wang Yifo's ears. It was so sudden that Wang Yifo's heart skipped a beat. When he realized that he could not see the sword that had caused the whistling sound, his eyes narrowed and a horrified expression appeared on his face. As soon as Wang Yifo's pupils shrunk, he heard a clear voice in his ears. The sound that came from behind sounded like tofu being cut. Chapter 2086. At this moment, Wang Yifo was shocked. The 100 inscriptions saint saber in his hand, the 100 inscriptions saint saber that had been infused with saint origin, had been broken into two. The cut was smooth and clean, as if it had been cut in two by some kind of sharp weapon. Wang Yifo felt his scalp tingle when he recalled the short-lived sword whistling sound. At the same time, Wang Yifo's eyes were filled with fear when he looked at the purple-clothed young man standing not too far away. Almost at the same time when the 100 inscriptions saint saber in Wang Yifo's hand was broken into two pieces, the two women beside Wang Yifo, as well as the dancers, were so frightened that they screamed. Their beautiful faces turned pale, and they looked very pitiful. All of you can leave now. I have something to say to Alliance Leader Wang. At the same time, Duan Ling Tian spoke. When his words fell into the ears of the two women and the dancers next to Wang Yifo, the fear in their eyes disappeared. However, although they had obtained Duan Ling Tian's permission, they still did not dare to leave. Their pitiful eyes fell on Wang Yifo as though they had discussed this beforehand. Obviously, they were waiting for Wang Yifo's permission as a distinguished guest. Wang Yifo was so angry that he almost vomited blood when he sensed their gazes. Could these women not see that the purple-clad young man in front of them was more powerful than him? It was fine if they did not listen to the order given by such a person, but now they were looking at him and asking for his permission. Was this not harming him? Sir asked you to leave, why aren't you leaving? Instantly, Wang Yifo was enraged as well. He roared, scaring the group of women away. At this moment, only Duan Ling Tian and Wang Yifo were left in the huge courtyard. Sir, please have a seat. When Wang Yifo looked at Duan Ling Tian, the anger on his face disappeared and was replaced by a flattering expression. He immediately asked Duan Ling Tian to sit at the stone table in the pavilion. Duan Ling Tian didn't stand on ceremony and walked into the pavilion in 2 or 3 steps. Just now, when Wang Yifo saw him for the first time, he was not at all polite, so he was not surprised. That was why he had immediately displayed his strength to intimidate Wang Yifo. With the help of the Sun Saint energy that had been enhanced by the divine power, the devouring technique, and the Jasper celestial sword, he was able to break Wang Yifo's 100 inscriptions saint saber that was infused with saint energy into half with just one slash. Before the Jasper celestial sword, the 100 inscriptions saint saber was as weak as tofu. This could be seen from the scene just now. The Jasper celestial sword had cut through the 100 inscriptions saint saber as easily as cutting tofu. Under Wang Yifo's uneasy gaze, Duan Ling Tian walked into the pavilion and sat down at the stone table. Then, Duan Ling Tian plucked a grape from a bunch of grapes on the stone table and stuffed it into his mouth. After chewing a few times, he spat out the grape skin. This grape is not bad. It tastes pretty good. Sir, if you like it, I'll ask them to prepare more later. Hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Wang Efo said with a flattering expression. Compared to the arrogant Wang Efo from before, this flattering Wang Efo seemed to be a completely different person. The reason why Wang Efo changed so much was naturally because he had seen Duan Lingtian's strength. At first, he didn't know that Duan Lingtian was stronger than him. Now, he realized that Duan Lingtian was not only stronger than him, but he was so strong that he could kill him in the blink of an eye. Nothing else. Just like the sword just now, if it had not landed on the 100 inscriptions Saint Saber in his hand but on his head would have been cut open like a watermelon. Until now, Wang Efo could not help but shudder when he recalled the sword just now. Sit. Duan Lingtian looked at Wang Efo and gestured for him to sit. However, after witnessing Duan Lingtian's terrifying strength, how could Wang Efo have the courage to sit in front of Duan Lingtian? He quickly said politely, "Sir, I'm a wretched person, I like to stand. I'm used to it." Since Wang Efo was unwilling to sit, Duan Lingtian naturally would not force him. He went straight to the point and said, "I'm here to ask you something." "Sir, please ask away." "As long as Wang Efo, no, I won't hide it." After hearing the purpose of Duan Lingtian's visit, Wang Efo could not help but heave a sigh of relief. Just now, he was worried that Duan Lingtian was deliberately looking for trouble with him. With Duan Lingtian's strength, it would only take him a blink of an eye to kill him. "I heard that you spent some time in Sin City?" Duan Lingtian asked. Although Wang Efo was curious why Duan Lingtian would ask this, he still answered truthfully. This was not a secret to many people in Clarity City. Sometimes, he would even use this matter as his capital to brag about himself. After all, not everyone had the guts to go to Sin City. Even a Saint's celestial stage powerhouse would have to be careful in Sin City. Otherwise, if he accidentally offended someone he should not offend, he would be doomed eternally. "Tell me about the city of Sin," Duan Lingtian said. "Could it be that you want to go to Sin City?" Wang Efo asked in surprise. His eyes shone brightly. He could tell the purple-clad young man did not ask him this because he was bored. He must have wanted to go to Sin City. "Didn't you hear what I said?" However, Duan Lingtian ignored Wang Efo's question. Instead, he asked coldly with a grave expression on his face. Wang Efo shuddered when he saw Duan Lingtian's sudden change in attitude. He no longer dared to ask any questions and hastily said, "I'll tell you about Sin City." Then, Wang Efo began to explain Sin City to Duan Lingtian. From the origin of Sin City to the current situation of Sin City. Wang Efo had stayed in Sin City for some time after all. His understanding of Sin City was not something that Chiu Muqing, who was just a passerby, could compare to. As time passed, Duan Lingtian learned a lot of useful information from Wang Efo. "Alliance leader Wang, why did you leave the city of Sin and come to Clarity City? Don't tell me it's just for fun?" After Wang Efo told Duan Lingtian everything he knew about Sin City, Duan Lingtian asked Wang Efo about it. Wang Efo did not mention anything about himself when he told Duan Lingtian about Sin City. With Wang Efo's strength at the peak of the first form of the Saint's celestial stage, he was only an ordinary martial cultivator in Sin City. He was not as carefree in Sin City as he was in Clarity City. As the saying went, one would rather be the head of a lion than the tail of a phoenix. The current Wang Efo was similar to this. Naturally, Duan Lingtian knew very well. Since the city of Sin was able to attract so many independent cultivators to gather there, it must have had its own charm. Otherwise, who would not want to be the king of a mountain? And Wang Efo definitely didn't leave just to enjoy life in the city. Of course not. Wang Efo sighed when he heard Duan Lingtian's question. He said reluctantly, "It's because I offended someone in Sin City. That person has a powerful background, so I had no choice but to leave Sin City. Although the entertainment in Clarity City is great, it can't help me improve my cultivation base." "According to what you said, the cultivation environment in the city of Sin is very good?" Duan Lingtian could not help but feel curious when he heard Wang Efo's words. It's not just the cultivation environment. Wang Yifo shook his head. After a flash of light passed through his eyes, he said, "There are many benefits in Sin City that I don't know how to explain. Sir, if you really intend to go to Sin City, you'll know when you get there." Although Duan Lingtian felt Wang Yifo was keeping him in suspense, he did not continue to ask. After all, he was about to depart to Sin City. "Thank you, Alliance Leader Wang." After obtaining the information he wanted from Wang Yifo, Duan Lingtian stood up and was ready to leave. Before he left, he did not forget to thank Wang Yifo. "You're too kind, Lord." Wang Yifo was flattered by Duan Lingtian's gratitude. Then, under Wang Yifo's respectful gaze, Duan Lingtian left, leaving Wang Yifo with a suave silhouette. Who is he? Wang Yifo only regained his senses when Duan Lingtian's silhouette disappeared. However, deep in his eyes, there was a hint of confusion. He had been in Clarity City for many years, but it was his first time seeing such a powerhouse in Clarity City. After all, Clarity City was only an inconspicuous city at the edge of the western region. Even if there were powerhouses who passed by this area, they would rarely stay here. After leaving the Emerald Cloud Pavilion, Duan Lingtian did not stop and left Clarity City immediately. After leaving Clarity City, Duan Lingtian turned to look at Clarity City again. His eyes flashed, but no one knew what he was thinking. Golden Crow's wings. After a while, a pair of flaming wings appeared on his back. He had cast the high-grade movement divine ability, the Golden Crow's wings. Without warning, the Golden Crow's wings flapped. In the next moment, boom, 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 boom. Chapter 2087. The upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land was divided into a few regions. The North Region, South Region, West Region, East Region, and Central Region. The North Region was covered in snow all year round. Due to the lack of Saint Stones, the cultivation environment there was extremely bad. It was a remote place where even birds would not shit. Therefore, there were not many powerful forces stationed there. Currently, the 7 Absolutes sect's temporary base was located in the North Region. The South Region was also known as the Wildlands. Based on the name alone, one could guess that the people there were tough. The Heaven Divination sect, one of the 3 great sects in the Dao Martial Saint Land, was located in the South Region. The Heaven Divination sect was also the religion of most people in the South Region, just like how Zoroastrianism was the religion of most people in the West Region. However, there was no need to mention the West Region. The Eastern Region was also a place that lacked holy stone mineral resources, but it was much better than the Northern Region. There were many first-rate powers stationed in that area, and the Dragon Clan was also in that area. The Central Region was the most prosperous place in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. It was rich in saint stones. In the Central Region, apart from the Zhuangzi Buddhism, one of the 3 great sects, there was also an ancient city called Sin City. Even the Black Kshetra sect had to be wary of the existence of Sin City. Sin City was not a force. It was just a place where sectless cultivators gathered. However, if any forces were to make a move on Sin City, the sectless cultivators in Sin City would band together to fend off the enemy. Sin City? What's so attractive about it that so many sectless cultivators in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land are flocking to it? While Duan Lingtian was making his way to Sin City in the Central Region, his heart was filled with curiosity about the city. Just what kind of city was it? It actually attracted so many rogue cultivators to gather there. Along the way, Duan Lingtian flew past many towering mountains and lofty ridges, many vast lakes, plains, and deserts before he finally entered the Central Region of the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. The city of Sin is located at the center of the Central Region. This was what Duan Lingtian had learned from Qiu Muqing, the eldest daughter of the Qiu clan in Clarity City. For this reason, after he entered the Central Region, he quickly decided on a direction and traveled at full speed. Duan Lingtian entered the Central Region of the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land and made his way to Sin City. Debussy Subterranean, Azure Cloud Mansion. A swift figure streaked across the sky and entered the Crouching Dragon Lake in the outer area of the Azure Cloud Mansion. Boom. Boom, boom. When the newcomer entered the Crouching Dragon Lake, the calm surface of the Crouching Dragon Lake shook. Then, 10 figures shot out and surrounded the newcomer. Who are you? How dare you trespass into the Azure Cloud Mansion? The 10 people who flew out of the Crouching Dragon Lake were clad in black armor and looked majestic. The person who was surrounded by them was a woman who was dressed in a tight-fitting outfit. Apart from her beautiful figure, she also had a beautiful face. It was as though the Creator had given her the best. She had the face of an angel and the body of a devil. These words were enough to describe this woman's perfection. Azure Cloud Mansion's black-armored army? The woman muttered to herself as she faced the 10 people who surrounded her. Then, she did not beat around the bush as she said, "I'm a friend of Duan Lingtun, the young mansion master of your Azure Cloud Mansion. My name is Wang Fei Xian, and I'm from the Mystical Sky Mansion." Based on her words, she was none other than Wang Fei Xian, whom Duan Lingtian had met in the Mystical Sky Mansion. She was also one of Duan Lingtian's few friends in the Mystical Sky Mansion. A friend of the young mansion master? Upon hearing Wang Fei Xian's words, the fierce gazes of the 10 black-armored guards softened a little. At the same time, one of them immediately went to the Azure Cloud Mansion's main mansion to report this matter. Wang Fei Xian? In the Azure Cloud Mansion's main mansion, Duan Ruffing, the mansion master, quickly learned about the woman who claimed to be his son's friend. However, he was unfamiliar with the name Wang Fei Xian. He had not even heard of it before. Naturally, it was impossible for him to know all of his son's friends. Fei, did you hear Tian mention a woman called Wang Fei Xian? Soon after, Duan Ruffing found his daughter-in-law, Li Fei. Li Fei was accompanying his wife, Li Ro, with her and Duan Lingtian's son, Li Fei. Wang Fei Xian? She seems to be Scoundrel's friend in the Mystical Sky Mansion. Li Fei was startled at first, but then she came back to her senses. However, after a while, a complicated expression appeared in the depths of her beautiful autumn eyes. She had heard her man mention Wang Fei Xian before. Although her man did not say much, with her sharp woman's intuition, she could tell this Mystical Sky Mansion's disciple called Wang Fei Xian might have fallen in love with her man. She's really Tiana's friend? Since you know her, come with me to greet her. Duan Ruffing said. Grandfather, I want to go as well. At this moment, Duan Ruffing, who was standing nearby, also ran over. He blinked his big, innocent eyes as he said to Duan Ruffing, Grandma will go as well. Then, Duan Yen Tian looked at Li Ro and held her hand as he said with a pout on his face, Grandma will go as well. Li Ro patted her grandson's head affectionately and agreed immediately. Listen to Yen Tian. Let's go together. Duan Ruffing agreed as he looked at Duan Yen Tian affectionately. Following that, Duan Ruffing raised his hand, and an invisible force shrouded Li Ro, Li Fei, and Duan Yen Tian before it brought them away from the main mansion of Azure Cloud Mansion. After a while, Duan Ruffing brought them to a stop. They were already at the side of the Crouching Dragon Lake. Lord Mansion Master. Madam. Young Madam. When Duan Ruffing brought Li Ro and Li Fei to the 9 black-armored guards, the 9 black-armored guards quickly bowed at Duan Ruffing, Li Ro, and Li Fei. Since Li Ro was the wife of their mansion master, they addressed her as Madam. As for Li Fei, since she was the wife of their young mansion master, they addressed her as Young Madam. Mansion Master? Madam? Young Madam? Upon hearing the 9 black-armored guards' greetings, Wang Fei Xian shifted her gaze to Duan Ruffing and the others before she quickly bowed at Duan Ruffing and Li Ro, who were standing side by side. Junior Wang Fei Xian greets Mansion Master Duan and Madam. When Wang Fei Xian bowed at Duan Ruffing and his wife, she could not help but look at Li Fei, who was standing next to Li Ro, from the corner of her eyes. At this moment, Li Fei was holding her son's hand. Duan Yen Tian was looking at Wang Fei Xian with his big, watery eyes. It was as though he was curious about this auntie whom he had never met before. Miss Fei Xian, there's no need to be so courteous. Duan Ruffing smiled faintly. Listen to my daughter-in-law. You're my son's friend in the Mystical Sky Mansion. This is not the place to talk. Why don't you follow us to the main mansion of the Azure Cloud Mansion? In the end, Duan Ruffing even asked for Wang Feixian's opinion out of courtesy. All right. Wang Feixian was a valiant woman, so she agreed immediately. When Wang Feixian agreed, Duan Ruffing raised his hand again and brought the few of them with him as they disappeared from the side of the Crouching Dragon Lake. However, this time, Wang Feixian was among the people he brought away. When Duan Ruffing and the others appeared again, they were already in the main hall of the Azure Cloud Mansion's main mansion. The majestic main hall took Wang Feixian a while to regain her senses. After Wang Feixian regained her senses, Duan Ruffing introduced the three people next to him. His wife, his son. Although Wang Feixian was mentally prepared, she could not help but feel a sense of loss when Duan Ruffing introduced Li Fei and her son. However, it was not obvious on her face. She even took the initiative to greet Li Fei politely. Li Fei, naturally, returned the greeting as well. She did not neglect Wang Feixian at all. To her, her man's friend was her friend as well. It seems like this girl's heart is also with Tian. Or is really too much. He still hasn't settled by Yao and Lan, or at home, but why is he fooling around outside and even attracted such a good girl? Li Ro was a woman. Naturally, she could sense Wang Feixian's emotions fluctuating when she heard Li Fei was her son's wife. As a woman, she was certain. This woman called Wang Feixian also had her heart set on her son. Due to this reason, she sighed inwardly. If it was in the past, Li Ro would have been eager to have as many daughters-in-law as possible. Otherwise, she would not have brought Xiao Lan and Princess Bai Yao out of the mortal continent. But now, she didn't think so anymore. She even regretted bringing Xiao Lan and Princess Bai Yao out of the mortal continent because she felt she had let them down. Based on the current situation, it was still a question whether her son would accept them in the future. Currently, the matter between Xiao Lan and Princess Bai Yao had yet to be resolved, and now, Wang Feixian was here as well. She was puzzled. Sister Feilian, if you're here to look for my son, Duan Lingtian, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. He's no longer in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Duan Ruffing said to Wang Feixian. I know that. Wang Feixian nodded and continued to say, I'm not here to look for him. I'm here to inform you, Mansion Master Duan. When Wang Feixian reached this part of the sentence, she paused for a moment. Fear rose in her eyes as though she had just recalled something terrifying. Leak information? Duan Ruffing was stunned. The mystical Sky Mansion is gone. My home, the fourth-rate force, the tyrannical Saber Mansion, is gone as well. Wang Feixian's tone instantly turned gloomy. Subsequently, the fear in her eyes grew even more intense. Monster. A monster with an ox head and a human body. Chapter 2088. The Mansion Master of Mystical Sky Mansion was killed in just one move? Hearing Wang Feixian's words, Li Ro and Li Fei couldn't help but be shocked. Especially Li Ro. As the wife of Duan Ruffing, the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, she often spent time with Duan Ruffing. Naturally, she had learned a lot about the Debussy Subterranean from Duan Ruffing. This also included an in-depth understanding of the major forces in the Debussy Subterranean. As far as she knew, although the Mansion Master of Mystical Sky Mansion was not as strong as her husband, even her husband would not dare to kill the Mansion Master of Mystical Sky Mansion in just one blow before he had broken through to the quintessential saint stage. But now, Wang Feixian, there was a monster who killed the Mansion Master of Mystical Sky Mansion in just one blow. If it's true, just how powerful was that monster? Due to Duan Yentian's age, he did not know what Wang Feixian was talking about. As for Duan Ruffing, he was not surprised by Wang Feixian's words. Instead, his face darkened as he muttered, it seems like more than one bull demon has come to the Debussy Subterranean. What Duan Ruffing was worried about still happened. Previously, when the bull devil had barged into the Azure Cloud Mansion, although he had killed it, he did not feel relieved at all. Instead, he felt extremely gloomy. After all, the bull devil's appearance in the Dao Martial Saint Land was a bad sign. After all, the ox demon was a creature that only existed in the land of exile. Now that it had appeared in the Dao Martial Saint Land, there was no doubt that there was something wrong with the space barrier between the Dao Martial Saint Land and the land of exile. If there was a problem with the space barrier, it might have been discovered by one ox devil, and that ox devil might have come to the Dao Marshall Saint Land. However, it could also be discovered by many ox devils, and that was why many ox devils came to the Dao Marshall Saint Land. It was even more likely that they would be discovered by the devil clans in the land of exile. The ox devil from the ox devil clan was only the vanguard of the devil clans in the Dao Marshall Saint Land. If it was the latter, there was no doubt the Dao Marshall Saint Land would fall back into the human devil era, and the people would be plunged into misery and suffering. Ox demon? Although Duan Rufeng's voice wasn't loud, it was still heard by Li Ro and the others. They immediately looked at Duan Rufeng. This was the first time in their lives that they had heard the term bull demon. Grandpa, what is an ox demon? Duan Yen Tian asked as he blinked his eyes innocently when he heard Duan Rufeng's mutterings. Fair, take Niantian and leave first. There are some things that I want you to know. However, I will tell her about that matter first. She will tell you later. At this moment, Duan Rufeng sent a voice transmission to Li Fei, asking Li Fei to bring Duan Yen Tian away. Unknowingly, it also revealed a message. It was not convenient for Duan Yen Tian to know what he was going to do next. Although Li Fei did not know what was going on, she could hear the seriousness in Duan Rufeng's voice. Since she was curious, she did not ask any questions. After some persuasion, she finally convinced Duan Yen Tian to leave. At this moment, only Duan Rufeng, Li Ro, and Wang Fei Xian were left in the spacious main hall. Brother Feng, did you ask Fei to bring Yen Tian away? Li Ro asked. As Duan Rufeng's wife and Li Fei's unusual behavior earlier, it was not difficult for her to figure out what was going on. It seemed like it was not suitable for her grandson to hear what her husband was going to say next. Duan Rufeng nodded. Then, he said solemnly, Yen Tian is still alive. There are some things I don't want him to know so soon. I don't want him to live in fear from now on. The ox demon was related to the demon race in the land of exile, and it was also related to the human devil era many years ago. It was not hard to imagine. If his grandson knew that the human race had such a dark history, his grandson would definitely have a shadow in his heart. It would be detrimental to his grandson's growth, and it would do him no good. Upon hearing Duan Rufeng's words, Li Ro knew she had guessed correctly. She could not help but gasp before she asked, Brother Feng, don't scare me. What's the matter? Li Ro knew her husband very well. He was cautious and would not speak without thinking. For this reason, she could not help but feel chills running up her spine when she heard her husband's words. The ox devil is from the land of exile. Duan Rufeng explained. Faced with Li Ro's question and Wang Fei Xian's curious gaze, Duan Rufeng finally told them about the ox devil's origin. He also mentioned the human devil era that happened hundreds of thousands of years ago. At this moment, both Li Ro and Wang Fei Xian were so frightened that their faces turned pale. During the human devil era, humans and devils fought against each other. Countless humans were killed and devoured into dried corpses. Apart from the powerhouses, most of the humans who survived were at death's door. Many of them were demonized and became devil cultivators. All in all, during that era, there was chaos everywhere. Nobody could live a peaceful life, not even the people on the mortal continent. The devil clans? The land of exile? When Li Ro and Wang Fei Xian learned about the existence of the land of exile and the strength of the devil clans in the land of exile, both of them were terrified. Miss Fei Xian, how tall was the ox devil that entered the mystical sky mansion that day? Duan Rufeng suddenly asked as he looked at Wang Fei Xian. Wang Fei Xian regained her senses when she heard his question. After she mustered her courage, her pale face regained some color. Then, she fell silent for a moment as she thought about it. I think it was more than 4 meters tall. I think it was less than 5 meters tall, but I'm certain it was more than 4 meters tall. Wang Fei Xian replied to Duan Rufeng after she recalled everything that had happened. If that's the case, the strength of the ox devil that entered the mystical sky mansion is about the same as the ox devil that entered the azure cloud mansion that day. Duan Rufeng nodded. Although he sounded nonchalant, his expression was tense and did not relax at all. Entered the azure cloud mansion? Li Ro's expression changed when she heard Duan Rufeng's words. A worried expression appeared on her face as she asked anxiously, "When? Brother Feng, why didn't you mention this before?" It was obviously Ro was unaware that the Ox Devil had entered the Azure Cloud Mansion. "I didn't mention it because I didn't want you to worry." Duan Ruffing sighed before he continued to say, "Moreover, I've already killed it." "You've already killed it?" Li Ro and Wang Fei Xian were stunned when they heard Duan Rufeng's words. That was a powerful devil that could kill the mansion master of Mystical Sky Mansion with just a blow. However, it was killed by Duan Ruffing even though it had entered the Azure Cloud Mansion? In the Ox Devil clan, in terms of strength, there are many Ox Devils who are much stronger than the Ox Devils who invaded the Mystical Sky Mansion and the Azure Cloud Mansion. Duan Ruffing continued to speak in a solemn tone. "Initially, I was wondering if there was only one Ox Devil that entered the Debussy Subterranean and entered the Azure Cloud Mansion. However, it seems like there's more than one Ox Devil." Duan Ruffing said with a hint of dread on his face, "I've killed one, and another one has appeared in the Mystical Sky Mansion. I'm afraid there are more in other places as well." In the end, a hint of dread appeared on Duan Rufeng's face. While Duan Rufeng, Li Ro, and Wang Fei Xian were discussing the Human Devil era, the Land of Exile, the Devil Clans, and the Ox Devil Clan, Duan Rufeng continued to speculate. In the western region of the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Not many people knew that apart from the top force in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, Zoroastrianism, there was another powerful force in the western region that even Zoroastrianism was wary of. This force was the Phoenix Clan. The Phoenix Clan was a very mysterious clan. It was even more mysterious than the dragons. The reason the Phoenix Clan was so mysterious was due to a rule set by the Phoenix Clan's ancestor many years ago. The members of the Phoenix Clan were not allowed to leave the Phoenix Clan. Those who left without permission would be chased out of the Phoenix Clan and would be hunted down by the Phoenix Clan. Due to this reason, the members of the Phoenix Clan were not allowed to leave the Phoenix Clan no matter how much they longed to explore the outside world. As the saying went, a phoenix would not land in a place without treasures. The Phoenix Clan's estate was located in the northern part of the western region. It was like a paradise that was completely isolated from the outside world. The reason the Phoenix Clan chose this place as their estate was similar to the Zoroastrianism's estate. There was also a quasi-celestial grade Saint Stone reserve underground. Naturally, it was much better than the quasi-celestial grade Saint Stone reserve in the Zoroastrianism's estate. In the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, it was widely spread that there were only 3 quasi-celestial grade Saint Stone reserves in the world that were in the possession of the 3 great sections. In fact, to a certain extent, the 3 great sects had deliberately spread this news. They wanted to use this to show how different they were. The Phoenix Clan's estate was isolated from the outside world through a formation. This formation was a gigantic hybrid formation that was a mixture of offensive formations and illusory formations. Without a cultivation base at the Saint Celestial stage or above, one would not be able to see through the illusory formations that were mixed with the formation. Without a cultivation base at the 4th form of the Saint Celestial stage or above, one would not be able to resist the offensive formations that were mixed with the formation. Today, an uninvited guest appeared outside the Phoenix Clan's estate. A gust of wind suddenly blew past. In the next moment, an old figure appeared out of thin air outside the gigantic formation that enveloped the Phoenix Clan's estate. It was a white-haired old man with a sage-like demeanor. As he hovered in the air, he looked like an old celestial from afar. If Han Xuanai was here, she would definitely recognize him. This old man was none other than her senior uncle, the Prophet. He was also the previous successor of the Prophet progeny, the second absolute of the 7 absolute sect. Chapter 2089. The Phoenix Clan's encampment was shrouded by a gigantic hybrid formation. Even if someone passed by, they would not be able to discover the Phoenix Clan's encampment. The Phoenix Clan's encampment was located in a place surrounded by mountains. It was a real paradise. Not only was this place isolated from the rest of the world, but there were also mountains, rivers, lush flowers, and green trees. It formed a picturesque scenery that gave people a strong sense of belonging. Of course, this was only most of the scenery in the Phoenix clan's encampment. In the west of the Phoenix clan's encampment, the air was filled with an extremely hot aura. The temperature was so high that it would not take long for an ordinary person to be roasted. The deeper one went, the higher the temperature. In the deepest part of the west of the Phoenix clan's encampment, there was a vast altar. On the high platform in the middle of the altar, there was an extremely huge statue sitting there. If Duan Lingtian was here, he would definitely be stunned when he saw this statue. Moreover, a paragraph of words recorded in the ancient book, Classic of Mountains and Seas, that was passed down from ancient times in his previous life on Earth, would definitely appear in his mind. There was a bird in the world that looked like a chicken. It was called the Phoenix King. The Phoenix King was the earliest name for the phoenix. It was also the king of birds in Duan Lingtian's previous life on Earth. Generally speaking, the male was called the phoenix while the female was called the phoenix. Collectively, they were called the phoenix. The phoenix was as famous as the divine dragon in his previous life. Just like the divine dragon, they were legendary existences. In Duan Lingtian's previous life's hometown on Earth, ever since the Qin and Han dynasties of ancient times, the dragon had gradually become the symbol of the emperor. The emperors, empresses, and concubines had begun to refer to themselves as phoenixes. The image of the phoenixes had gradually become androgynous. The statue on the high platform in the middle of the altar was a lifelike phoenix. It was completely fiery red. No one knew what material it was made of, but it was constantly emitting waves of hot aura. That old man is here so early? In front of the altar, a beautiful woman sitting cross-legged in the air suddenly opened her eyes. The beautiful woman's eyes were different from the black pupils of ordinary humans. Instead, they were fiery red. With just a glance, it might be enough to make a person feel as though he had fallen into a pit of fire. When the beautiful woman stood up, her voluptuous figure hidden under the loose robe was also exposed. Furthermore, although her face could not be considered to be exceedingly beautiful, it was still beautiful beyond compare. It was very pleasing to the eye. She stood there. Although her clothes were simple and plain, she still gave off a graceful and luxurious feeling. If only I had met that girl earlier. Thinking that she's about to leave, I'm really reluctant to part with her. As the beautiful woman muttered, there was a hint of reluctance in her eyes. It was as if the girl she spoke of was about to leave her. Lord Prophet. Suddenly, a respectful female voice came from outside the altar. Hearing the voice coming from outside, the beautiful woman's figure flashed and disappeared into thin air. When she reappeared, she was already outside the altar in front of a young woman dressed in green. She asked indifferently, "What's the matter?" The green-clad young woman was very respectful when she faced the beautiful woman. Lord Prophet, Senior Prophet is here. He's waiting outside the Phoenix clan's estate. The beautiful woman's head had an "I already know" look on her face. I already know. Tell him to wait outside. I'll bring him out in a moment. The green-clad young woman was not surprised when she heard the beautiful woman already knew. It was as though she was used to it. After all, the beautiful woman before her was the Phoenix clan's prophet. She could predict the future and destroy all living beings' dharma characteristics. In the eyes of the Phoenix clan, she was omnipotent. Even the patriarch of the Phoenix clan had to be respectful when she saw this Lord Prophet. After the green-clad young woman left, the beautiful woman disappeared again in a flash. When he reappeared, he was already back at the altar. Furthermore, he was behind the altar, behind the incomparably huge phoenix statue. All of a sudden, the beautiful woman raised her hand. As the beautiful woman raised her hand, a ferocious crack appeared in the air as though she had torn the space apart. Then she flew into the ferocious crack in a flash, and the crack disappeared as well. If there was another person here, he or she would be dumbfounded when they saw this. It was as though the beautiful woman was swallowed by the crack in the air. Naturally, the beautiful woman who flew into the crack was not swallowed by the crack. Currently, she had entered the Phoenix clan's saint land that had been passed down since ancient times. The Phoenix clan's Saint Land was similar to the upper province of the Dao martial Saint Land. It was also a pseudo-realm. However, it could not be compared to the upper province of the Dao martial Saint Land since it was only a pseudo-realm. It was also the Phoenix clan's rebirth ground. Any Phoenix clan's clansman with extraordinary innate talent would be able to undergo rebirth ground. Not only would they be reborn, but they would also gain more strength. Their cultivation base would also be improved compared to before they were reborn. For example, a Phoenix clan's clansmen who were limited by their innate talent and could not improve their cultivation base after reaching the third form of the Saint Celestial stage would be able to break through to the fourth form of the Saint Celestial stage if they underwent rebirth ground. In the Phoenix clan's rebirth ground, apart from the fiery red sky, there was only a fiery red ocean in the Phoenix clan's rebirth ground. The temperature here was much higher than the temperature outside. Even those with a weaker cultivation base would be vaporized in just a blink of an eye, let alone ordinary people. The beautiful woman hovered in the air as though nothing had happened. It was as though the environment here did not affect her at all. If one looked closely, they would discover that the fiery red ocean was filled with lava. There was a large fiery red ocean in this place. It was the fiery red magma. The magma was constantly rolling and boiling. It was enough to see that its temperature was very high. It made people feel a chill down their spines when they saw it. The temperature in this place was due to the lava. At this moment, the beautiful woman hovered in the air and looked down at the ocean of lava beneath her feet. It was as though there was something in it. Girl. Suddenly, the beautiful woman opened her mouth. She was actually speaking to the sea of magma beneath her feet. Her voice was not loud, but it seemed to have a terrifying penetrating force. It was as though it could penetrate all obstacles and reach the ears of the person she was speaking to. Based on her words, it seemed like there was someone under the boiling lava. Gulp, 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 gulp. Moments after the beautiful woman spoke, the magma that was originally boiling but still considered calm began to churn and boil even more violently. In the next moment, accompanied by a loud bang, one of the magma exploded, and a fiery red figure rushed out. From afar, it seemed to have merged with the magma. The person who emerged from the ocean of lava was a woman dressed in a fiery red robe. She exuded a scorching aura and the pressure of a powerhouse. Senior Prophet. After she emerged, she appeared near the beautiful woman and bowed respectfully. Her voice was soft and pleasant to the ears. It seemed to contain endless charm. Her figure was graceful and perfect. It gave people the urge to go up and hug her. The woman dressed in red had beautiful long hair that fell on her shoulders and behind her back like a waterfall. Under the long hair was a beautiful face that could captivate even birds and beasts. Her eyebrows were as beautiful as a painting, her eyes were as clear as water in autumn. Her nose, red lips, and white teeth formed a perfect outline. She was so beautiful that it took one's breath away. She was like a fairy that had fallen to the mortal world. If Duan Lingtian was here, he would definitely recognize her with just a glance. This woman dressed in red who looked like a fire elf was none other than Feng Tianwu. Girl, you've completed your rebirth in our Phoenix clan's place of rebirth. I'm sure you've realized you're leaving soon, right? The beautiful woman sighed softly. Senior Prophet, is Senior Uncle Prophet here? Upon hearing the beautiful woman's words, Feng Tianwu immediately figured it out. The old man who had sent her here had passed by. He would come to take her away after she had completed her rebirth in the Phoenix clan's place of rebirth. Yes. When the beautiful woman saw how smart Feng Tianwu was, the reluctance in her eyes intensified. It was as though she did not want Feng Tianwu to leave. Senior Prophet, if I have time in the future, I'll come back to visit you. Feng Tianwu saw the reluctance in the beautiful woman's eyes, and she immediately consoled her. You won't have the chance. However, when the beautiful woman heard Feng Tianwu's words, a hint of relief flashed in her eyes. She shook her head and said, The reason we allowed you to enter the Phoenix clan was to follow our ancestors' instructions. We wanted to repay the favor we owed to Feng Qingyang, the sect leader of the Seven Absolute Sect. We allowed you to enter the Phoenix clan's place of rebirth because you have a trace of the Phoenix clan's prophet's bloodline in your body. Now that the Phoenix clan has repaid the favor it owed to the Seven Absolutes sect, it's impossible for us to let you in. The beautiful woman added. Senior Prophet, didn't you say I have the same bloodline as you? Can't you treat me as a member of the Phoenix clan? Feng Tianwu asked. If you want to be a member of the Phoenix clan, you can't leave the Phoenix clan. The beautiful woman looked at Feng Tianwu and said, however, are you willing to stay in the Phoenix clan until you die of old age or ascend to the immortal world? Feng Tianwu fell silent. Stay in the Phoenix clan until she died of old age or ascend to the immortal world. In that case, would she not be able to see the man she was so fond of? Naturally, she could not accept this. Therefore, she shook her head. The beautiful woman was not surprised when she saw this. Chapter 2090. Will I really not be able to see Senior Prophet again? When Feng Tianwu thought about how she would never be able to see the beautiful woman before her, the Phoenix clan's prophet, again, she was filled with reluctance. Although she had not spent much time with the Phoenix clan's prophet, the Phoenix clan's prophet still cared for her like an elder. It made her feel as though she had regained her motherly love. I'm afraid there's no more chance. Unless, the Phoenix clan's prophet paused for a moment. Unless what? Feng Tianwu was curious. The human devil era is coming again. However, that's almost impossible. At the very least, it's impossible for the human devil era to come again in our era. The Phoenix clan's prophet said decisively. The human devil era? Feng Tianwu was curious about this. The Phoenix clan's prophet was very patient with Feng Tianwu. She patiently explained the human devil era to Feng Tianwu. Feng Tianwu learned that before the Dao Martial Saint Land was divided into two, there was an era in the Dao Martial Saint Land called the Human Devil Era. During that era, a group of devils from the land of exile had invaded the Dao Martial Saint Land. To be more precise, they had invaded the realm where the Dao Martial Saint Land was located. During the Human Devil Era, the ancestors of the Phoenix clan killed countless devils. However, in the end, the Phoenix clan suffered a great loss. Since then, the ancestors of the Phoenix clan set a strict rule to ensure the survival of the Phoenix clan. The clansmen of the Phoenix clan are not allowed to leave the Phoenix clan without permission. Otherwise, not only would they be expelled from the Phoenix clan, but they would also be hunted down by the enforcement elder of the Phoenix clan. The Phoenix clan's prophet continued to say, for this reason, the only person who can leave the Phoenix clan without violating the rules is the enforcement elder. Naturally, there's a condition for the enforcement elder to leave the Phoenix clan. There must be a member of the Phoenix clan who has violated the rules and left the Phoenix clan without permission. Normally, no one from the Phoenix clan would leave the Phoenix clan because even if they did, the enforcement elder would find them in the shortest time possible. The members of the Phoenixes all have innate marks on our bodies. It's impossible for us to escape from the investigation of the deacon. He knew that he was going to die, but he just wanted to see the outside world. In the history of our Phoenixes, there has never been such a stupid person. At this point, the beautiful woman paused for a moment before continuing. Of course, if the human devil era comes again, we won't have to abide by that rule anymore. After all, we'll have to leave the Phoenix clan and attack the devil clans from the land of exile. This is the ancestral instruction left behind by our Phoenix clan's ancestors. It's also the mission of our Phoenix clan. The Phoenix prophet's words also revealed a meaning. The era of non-humans and demons descended once again. Otherwise, the members of the Phoenix clan were not allowed to leave the Phoenix clan without permission. The human-demon era is coming again? Feng Tianwu looked disappointed. Just now, according to the Phoenix clan's prophet, she also learned that only a few 100,000 years had passed since the last human-devil era. It would take at least 1,000,000 years for the devil clans from the land of exile to break through the space barrier and enter the Dao Martial Saint Land again. For this reason, the Phoenix clan's prophet said, it was impossible for the human devil era to descend again in the current era they were in. Sometimes things were just so miraculous. Things that you thought were impossible might happen all of a sudden. It was impossible for the human devil era to descend again in the current era? To the current lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, the Phoenix Clan's prophet's words were undoubtedly a huge joke. However, it could be seen from this that, although the Phoenix Clan's prophet could foresee the future and calculate all the phenomena in the world, it did not mean that she could foresee everything. The old man, the prophet, is waiting for you outside. I'll send you out. With a wave of her hand, the Phoenix Clan's prophet brought Feng Tianwu out of the Phoenix Clan's Saint Land, the land of rebirth, and back to the Phoenix Clan's altar. Then, she brought Feng Tianwu out of the Phoenix Clan's estate. Naturally, even though she was a prophet with a high status in the Phoenix Clan, she could not violate the clan's rules and leave the Phoenix Clan's estate. She could only send Feng Tianwu to the edge of the Phoenix Clan's estate. Along the way, Feng Tianwu left with the Phoenix Clan's prophet. When she thought about how she would be able to see the old man who called himself her senior uncle prophet, she felt as though she was dreaming. Previously, after she left the Greenwave Han Mansion, a fifth-rate force in the Dvusiai subterranean, she continued to search for the man she missed, Duan Lingtian. At that time, the old man who called himself her senior uncle prophet appeared in front of her and revealed that she had obtained the Blazing Phoenix progeny's inheritance from her master. He even mentioned the 7 Absolutes sect that her master had mentioned to her before. For this reason, she believed the old man's words. Naturally, even if she did not believe him, she did not have the ability to resist when the old man wanted to take her away. Initially, she refused because of Duan Lingtian. However, the old man told her that if she wanted to meet Duan Lingtian, she would have to go to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Moreover, the old man promised that she would be able to meet Duan Lingtian in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. In order to meet Duan Lingtian, she finally left the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land with the old man and came to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. She followed the old man's arrangement and came to the Phoenix Clan. I can't believe that great-grandmother and I both inherited the Phoenix Clan's prophet's bloodline. However, the bloodline great-grandmother inherited from the Phoenix Clan's prophet's bloodline is much purer than mine. After arriving at the Phoenix Clan, Feng Tianwu learned about the Phoenix Clan's prophet's bloodline. She had inherited the Phoenix Clan's prophet's bloodline. In the Phoenix Clan, there would be a prophet in every generation. The prophet's bloodline was also a very noble bloodline in the Phoenix Clan. Every prophet in the Phoenix Clan was respected by everyone in the Phoenix Clan. A prophet in the Phoenix Clan could foresee the future and predict everything in the world. Back then, great-grandmother was a prophet. She divined the fate between me and elder brother Duan. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have met elder brother Duan back then. The moment Feng Tianwu thought of this, a blissful smile appeared on her face. Back then, it was because of her great-grandmother's reminder. That was why her father had brought her to that city at the border of the Darkstone Empire and had renamed that city as Phoenix Nest City. It was also because of her great-grandmother's reminder that her father had arranged the spouse selection martial competition for her, allowing her to meet Duan Lingtian and resolve the crisis of her fire spirit body. It's a good thing great-grandmother has the Phoenix Clan's prophet's bloodline. Otherwise, I'm afraid I wouldn't have met elder brother Duan in this lifetime. The moment Feng Tianwu thought of this, she felt a wave of lingering fear. However, no matter what, meeting that elder brother Duan was the happiest thing in her life. That elder brother Duan was also the man she had set her mind on in this lifetime. However, Senior Uncle Prophet is really amazing. He actually managed to predict that I have the Phoenix Clan's prophet's bloodline in me. In terms of divination, his ability seems to be even stronger than Senior Prophet. Feng Tianwu thought to herself as she inadvertently glanced at the Phoenix Clan's prophet beside her from the corner of her eyes. Naturally, she did not dare to say this out loud. "We're here." As the Phoenix Clan's prophet stopped moving, they had also arrived at the border of the Phoenix Clan's encampment. Senior Prophet. Since they were about to part, Feng Tianwu was naturally very reluctant to part. In her heart, she had already treated the Phoenix Clan's prophet before her as her mother. Go on. Faced with Feng Tianwu's reluctance, the Phoenix Clan's prophet only felt a wave of panic in her heart. In order to hide her panic, she raised her hand and directly sent Feng Tianwu out of the Phoenix Clan's encampment. After Feng Tianwu disappeared from her sight, she took a deep breath and closed her eyes. She could not calm the restless emotions in her heart for a long time. After interacting with each other for a period of time, Feng Tianwu treated her like a mother, so how could she not treat Feng Tianwu as her daughter? A gigantic hybrid formation seemed to have separated the Phoenix clan's encampment from the outside world into two different worlds. As the Phoenix clan's prophet made her move, Feng Tianwu only felt her vision turn dark. When her eyes lit up again, she realized that she had already left the Phoenix clan's encampment and appeared in the sky above a mountain range. Senior Uncle Prophet. After returning to her senses, Feng Tianwu saw the old man who was walking in the air not far away and greeted him respectfully. The old man was the oracle man who had come from the northern region to pick up Feng Tianwu. The oracle man had come to bring Feng Tianwu back so that he could activate the 6 Absolutes' heaven-defying, fate-changing grand formation left behind by the 7 Absolutes' sex prodigy sword saint to help the current descendants of the 6 Absolutes, including Feng Tianwu, to defy the heavens and change their fates. Little Tianwu, you've successfully undergone rebirth? When he arrived near Feng Tianwu, the oracle man could also sense the change in her aura. He was instantly shocked. After all, when he brought Feng Tianwu to the Phoenix clan back then, he had the intention of treating a dead horse as a living one. It just so happened that the Phoenix clan owed the 7 Absolutes sect a favor. Feng Tianwu, the current descendant of the 7 Absolutes sect's blazing Phoenix progeny, had the Phoenix clan's prophet's bloodline. For this reason, he had tried to send Feng Tianwu to the Phoenix clan to ask the Phoenix clan to let Feng Tianwu enter the Phoenix clan's saint land, the land of rebirth. If the rebirth was successful, Feng Tianwu's innate talent and strength would be greatly improved. Yes. Feng Tianwu nodded in the face of the oracle man's question. Her face was filled with reluctance. If it wasn't for Senior Prophet sacrificing his cultivation base to help me, with the faint Phoenix clan's bloodline in my body, I wouldn't have successfully undergone rebirth. It seems like the Phoenix clan's prophet is really good to you. The oracle man nodded and said excitedly, now that you've successfully undergone rebirth, when you undergo the baptism of the 6 Absolutes' heaven-defying, fate-changing grand formation, in the future, you might become the most powerful person after the first Absolute of the 7 Absolutes sect, the Fog Rain progeny. Chapter 2091. The 7 Absolutes sect was divided into 7 Absolutes. For a long time, whenever the successor of the first Absolute, the Fog Rain progeny, appeared, he would be able to suppress the other 6 successors and become the leader of the 7 Absolute sect. Apart from the first Absolute, the Fog Rain progeny, not all of the other 6 Absolutes were good at fighting. For example, in the 7 Absolute sect, the second Absolute, Heavenly Secret, was more like a military advisor hidden behind a curtain. It was capable of strategizing from thousands of miles away. For this reason, based on the oracle man's words, one could deduce that he had high hopes for the oracle man. He had high hopes for Feng Tianwu. However, Feng Tianwu did not react to the old man Tianji's words. Instead, she went straight to the point. Instead, she asked bluntly, Senior Uncle Prophet, I don't care about other things. I just want to know when I'll be able to see my elder brother Duan. From the beginning until the end, Feng Tianwu had never forgotten the reason she came to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. She was here to look for her elder brother Duan. As for the other matters arranged by the Old Man of Heavenly Secrets, it was only because the Old Man of Heavenly Secrets had promised her that he would definitely help her find her big brother Duan. She had followed the oracle man's orders unconditionally. Now, it was time for the oracle man to fulfill his promise. Tianwu girl, it's time for me to tell you some things now. When the oracle man heard the serious tone in Feng Tianwu's voice, he realized he could not continue to brush her off. Otherwise, it might backfire. However, before I give you my permission, I don't want you to talk to anyone, including people you know in the past. The oracle man said with a solemn expression on his face. All right. Feng Tianwu nodded. She was not a talkative person. The reason I came to the Phoenix clan to pick you up is so that you can meet the current successors of the other 5 Absolutes in the 7 Absolute sect. The day the 6 absolutes gather is also the day I activate the 6 absolutes heaven-defying fate-changing grand formation left behind by our 7 absolutes sex ancestor. The Oracle Man said bluntly. Gathering of the 6 absolutes? 6 ultimate heaven-defying fate-changing grand array? Hearing the Oracle Man's words, Feng Tianwu was naturally surprised. The gathering of the 6 absolutes? As the successor of the blazing phoenix progeny, the 5th absolute of the 7 absolutes sect, Feng Tianwu, naturally, knew what it meant to have 6 absolutes gathered. It meant that she would be able to meet the successors of the other 5 absolutes of the 7 absolute sect. Although she didn't look forward to it, she was still a little surprised. She never thought that, apart from the first absolute of the 7 absolute sect, the old man had gathered all the successors of the other 6 absolutes. 6 ultimate heaven-defying fate-changing grand array? What's that? Feng Tianwu could not help but ask. The 6 absolutes heaven-defying fate-changing grand formation is a heaven-defying formation left behind by the previous successor of the fog rain progeny in the 7 absolute sect. Even the Oracle Man could not help but feel deep respect for the previous successor of the fog rain progeny in the 7 absolute sect. Then, he continued, the 6 absolutes heaven-defying fate-changing formation is a formation prepared by the ancestor for the successors of the 6 absolutes other than the successor of the first absolute, the fog rain progeny. After the successors of the 6 absolutes enter the formation, their cultivation base and martial talent will be greatly improved. In other words, after you and the successors of the other 5 absolutes enter the formation, your cultivation base and innate spiritual root will be greatly improved. The Oracle Man finished his sentence in one breath. My innate spiritual root will be greatly improved? Feng Tianwu was shocked. It has the same effect as the rebirth in the Phoenix Clan's Saint Land, the Land of Rebirth? In the Land of Rebirth, the Phoenix Clan's Saint Land, Feng Tianwu had successfully completed her rebirth. Apart from her cultivation base being greatly improved, her innate spiritual root had also improved. Moreover, one's innate spiritual root would affect one's martial Tao innate talent. Yes, the Land of Nirvana had not only improved her cultivation, but also her talent in martial arts. It's similar to the Land of Rebirth's rebirth, but it's much more powerful than the Land of Rebirth's rebirth. At this point, Old Man Tianji's face was filled with pride. It was as though the 6 absolute heaven-defying fate-changing array was something he had created himself. It's even more powerful than the Land of Rebirth's rebirth? For a time, Feng Tianwu was shocked to the point of being dumbstruck, and she was unable to recover from her shock for a long time. As someone who had entered the Land of Rebirth in the Phoenix Clan's Saint Land and experienced rebirth, naturally, Feng Tianwu knew how powerful Rebirth's rebirth was. But now, the Old Man of Heavenly Secrets said, the effect of the 6 absolutes heaven-defying fate-changing grand formation was even more powerful than the Land of Rebirth's rebirth. Of course, what I've said isn't more powerful. The Oracle Man said. His words caused Feng Tianwu to regain her senses. She looked at him with a puzzled expression on her face. Next, the 6 absolutes of the 7 absolutes sect will be reunited. After that, the 7 absolutes will be reunited as well. However, there's still some time before the 7 absolutes reunite. The Oracle Man continued. The 7 absolutes reunite. Upon hearing the Oracle Man's words, Feng Tianwu could not help but feel curious. She was curious about the successor of the Fog Rain progeny, the first absolute of the 7 absolute sect. When she was still in the 7th-rate Drift Blaze sect in the 6th-rate Saint Nation, Windfall Nation, she had heard from her master, Ziyun, the sect leader of Drift Blaze sect, that the 7 absolutes reunite. In the 7 absolutes sect, the successor of the first absolute, the Fog Rain progeny, was the most mysterious and powerful. Once the 7 absolutes reunite, it meant that she would be able to meet the successor of the Fog Rain progeny, the first absolute of the 7 absolutes sect. As for the day of the 7 absolutes reunite, the Oracle Man continued to speak, it's the day you meet your elder brother Duan. Boom. The Oracle Man's words were like a bolt from the blue when they entered Feng Tianwu's ears. Feng Tianwu was stunned and could not regain her senses for a long time. The day of the seven absolutes reunite would be the day she would meet her elder brother Duan. Senior Uncle Prophet, what do you mean by that? After a long while, Feng Tianwu finally regained her senses. She took a deep breath before she asked in a slightly suppressed voice. Silly girl, I've already said so much. Isn't it obvious? The oracle man shook his head and smiled. Your elder brother Duan is the current successor of the Fog Rain progeny, the first absolute of the seven absolute sect. In fact, when the oracle man spoke earlier, Feng Tianwu had already guessed this. However, she found it hard to believe, so she asked the oracle man about it. With the old man of heavenly secrets' confirmation, she was absolutely certain. Her elder brother Duan was the current successor of the Fog Rain progeny, the first absolute of the seven absolute sect. I can't believe that elder brother Duan is the current successor of the Fog Rain progeny, the first absolute of the seven absolute sect. Feng Tianwu's heart raced. She could not calm down from the excitement in her heart for a long time. No wonder Master would ask elder brother Duan if he knew about the seven absolute sect. According to Master, the 10,000 Swords territory that elder brother Duan consolidated is the exclusive territory of the successor of the Fog Rain progeny, the first absolute of the seven absolute sect. Soon after, Feng Tianwu recalled the scenes in the Drift Blaze sect. At that time, her master, Ziyun, the sect leader of Drift Blaze sect, had seen her elder brother Duan consolidate the 10,000 Swords territory. Due to this reason, she had asked her elder brother Duan if he knew about the seven absolute sect. However, her elder brother Duan did not know about it. For this reason, her master, Ziyun, was certain her elder brother Duan had nothing to do with the Fog Rain progeny, the first absolute of the seven absolute sect. Senior Uncle Prophet, I remember my master had asked elder brother Duan if he knew about the seven absolute sect. However, elder brother Duan did not know about it. What's going on? Feng Tianwu was puzzled by this as well. It's not strange that he doesn't know about the seven absolute sect. As far as I know, the Fog Rain progeny, the first absolute of the seven absolute sect, usually doesn't mention the seven absolute sect. However, he must know that he's the successor of the Fog Rain progeny. The old man of heavenly secrets explained with absolute certainty. Feng Tianwu finally understood. Senior Uncle Prophet. All of a sudden, Feng Tianwu seemed to have recalled something. She looked at the oracle man solemnly and asked, Earlier, did you say that the six absolutes heaven-defying fate-changing grand formation left behind by our seven absolutes sex patriarch is meant to raise the cultivation base and martial Dao innate talent of the six absolutes successors other than the current successor of the Fog Rain progeny? The oracle man nodded, puzzled. He did not know why Feng Tianwu would suddenly ask such a question. Senior Uncle Prophet, I want to give the opportunity to enter the six absolutes heaven-defying fate-changing grand formation to elder brother Duan so that he can raise his cultivation base and martial Dao innate talent. Feng Tianwu said solemnly as she looked at the oracle man. There was no hesitation in her words at all. She had no regrets. The oracle man was stunned when he heard Feng Tianwu's words. He realized Feng Tianwu had misunderstood him. However, he did not expose her. Instead, he asked calmly, Do you really intend to give the opportunity to enter the six absolutes heaven-defying fate-changing grand formation to your elder brother Duan? After asking, the oracle man reminded her in a seemingly friendly manner, Are you sure? If you give the opportunity to him, you'll only be at the bottom among the seven absolutes, seven absolutes in the future. It's not a good thing for you. I've thought about it. Feng Tianwu replied without any hesitation when she heard the oracle man's reminder. To her, nothing was more important than her elder brother Duan. In the past, she was willing to sacrifice herself for her elder brother Duan. It was the same now. Her heart had never changed. You're really... A hint of envy appeared in the oracle man's eyes when he saw how much Feng Tianwu cared about Duan Lingtian. When he was in his prime, why was there no lady who would do this for him? Chapter 2092. All right, I won't joke with you anymore. After a while, the old man of heavenly secrets told Feng Tianwu the truth. After that, he added, earlier, I told you that the 6 absolutes heaven-defying fate-changing grand formation was left behind by the previous successor of the fog rain progeny in our 7 absolute sect. He's also your elder brother Duan's master. As your elder brother Duan's master, do you think he wouldn't give your elder brother Duan any benefits? He must have his own reasons for not allowing your elder brother Duan to enter the 6 absolutes heaven-defying fate-changing grand formation. For this reason, you don't have to worry about your elder brother Duan at all. The Oracle Man said in one breath. I see. Upon hearing the Oracle Man's words, realization dawned on Feng Tianwu. At the same time, she realized she had made a big mistake. At this moment, her beautiful face couldn't help but blush. Alright, it's time for us to leave. Follow me to another place, and we'll be able to return to the northern region. The Oracle Man changed the topic and told Feng Tianwu. Where are we going? Feng Tianwu, who had calmed down, asked curiously when she heard the Oracle Man's words. We're going to pick up my direct disciple. He's also the current successor of the prophet progeny, the 2nd absolute of the 7 absolute sect. When the Oracle Man mentioned his direct disciple, a satisfied smile appeared on his old face. It was as though he was very satisfied with his direct disciple. The current successor of the prophet progeny? Feng Tianwu's eyes flashed before she asked teasingly, Senior Uncle Prophet, are you looking for a little faker to inherit your legacy? In Feng Tianwu's eyes, the Oracle Man was like an old faker. And the Oracle Man's direct disciple was naturally a little trickster. That beautiful disciple of mine isn't a little trickster. In terms of beauty, she isn't inferior to you. The Oracle Man looked at Feng Tianwu with dissatisfaction and shook his head. A woman? Feng Tianwu was stunned. She had never expected that the Oracle Man would actually find a female disciple for the Heavenly Mystery sect. Wouldn't that make her a female disciple? Of course, at the same time, Feng Tianwu was also curious about the Oracle Man's female disciple. What kind of woman would be chosen by the Oracle Man to be the successor of the 7 absolutes sect's 2nd absolute, the prophet progeny? Although she hadn't spent a lot of time with the Oracle Man, she could still feel that he was different. He had very high standards and was very picky. It was not easy to be chosen by him. While Feng Tianwu was following the Oracle Man to look for the Oracle Man's female disciple, in the central province of the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. After traveling for some time, Duan Lingtian finally arrived at his destination. A vast and imposing city stood in the distance, and it was clearly reflected in Duan Lingtian's eyes. Looking from afar, the city looked like an incomparably huge beast, creeping there, giving off an invisible sense of oppression. As for the city gates that were wide open, they were like the bloody maw of a giant beast, swallowing everyone who came from all directions into its stomach. Why is it so lively? Before he got close, Duan Lingtian could already see many people entering and exiting the city. It only served to accentuate the liveliness of the city. This is the city of sin? Looking at it from the outside, I really can't tell what's so special about this city other than the fact that it's much bigger than the other cities I've seen before. Duan Lingtian could not help but think to himself when he got close to Sin City. Almost at the instant Duan Lingtian's thought left his mind. Bush, bush, bush. 3 swift sounds of wind whistling could be heard coming from Sin City. Duan Lingtian instinctively turned to look. Following that, 3 figures appeared in front of him and flew toward him. The person in the lead was an old man dressed in blue. The old man seemed to be in a hurry. His face was filled with anxiety. His eyes were narrowed, and he was extremely nervous. The reason he was so anxious was because the 2 middle-aged men were chasing after him. Moreover, the 2 middle-aged men were faster than him. They were getting closer and closer to him. Finally, when the old man appeared near Duan Lingtian, the 2 middle-aged men finally caught up to him. It seems like these 2 men are from one of the Sectless Cultivators Alliances in Sin City. When Duan Lingtian saw the 2 middle-aged men wearing the same long green robes with an axe embroidered on their chests, he could not help but wonder who they were. Previously, when he was still in Clarity City, He had learned from the alliance leader of Clarity City's Sectless Cultivators Alliance, Wang Efo. There were many Sectless Cultivators Alliances in Sin City. Moreover, each Sectless Cultivators Alliance was formed by a certain number of Sectless Cultivators. They gathered together to stay together for warmth and to occupy a place in Sin City. Sectless cultivators with ordinary abilities would usually join a Sectless Cultivators Alliance and seek protection if they wanted to stay in Sin City. Of course, while seeking protection, they would also have to contribute to the Sectless Cultivators Alliance. Old Man Shui, are you still trying to escape? One of the middle-aged men moved in front of the old man and blocked his path with his companion. The old man was caught in a dilemma. The old man Shui, had a gloomy expression on his face. After taking a deep breath, he removed the spatial ring from his hand and tossed it to the middle-aged man who blocked his path. He quickly expressed his stance. My friends from the Ground Axe Alliance, the things you want are in the spatial ring. I've already removed the ownership of the spatial ring. I've already handed the things over to the two of you. I hope you'll let me live on account of my cooperation. As Old Man Shui spoke, his attitude became extremely humble. Duan Lingtian, who was standing nearby, could not help but stop moving. He looked at the scene in front of him as though he was watching a show. However, he did not notice anything. Apart from him, none of the passers-by stopped to watch. Instead, they avoided the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance and the old man who was being chased by the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance as if they were avoiding the plague. It was as though they were afraid of getting into trouble. The Ground Axe Alliance? This Rogue Cultivator Alliance didn't seem to exist among the Rogue Cultivator Alliances that Wang Efo mentioned to me. It seems like this is just a small Rogue Cultivator Alliance in Sin City. After recalling Wang Efo's words, Duan Lingtian was certain Wang Efo did not mention the Sectless Cultivators Alliance, the Ground Axe Alliance. Previously, when he was at the Emerald Cloud Pavilion in Clarity City. When Wang Efo introduced the City of Sin to him, he also introduced him to some of the powerful Rogue Cultivator Alliances in the City of Sin. Of course, it was just a rough introduction. Duan Lingtian remembered the names of the Sectless Cultivators Alliances. There was no Ground Axe Alliance. Based on this, Duan Lingtian was certain. This Ground Axe Alliance was an unranked alliance of rogue cultivators in the City of Sin. This old man Shui seems to have obtained something good, so he's being chased by the two people from the Ground Axe Alliance. Now that they've caught up to him, he's forced to hand over his spatial ring. Duan Lingtian could roughly guess what was going on. The thing is indeed inside. The Ground Axe Alliance's member who blocked Old Man Shui's way caught the spatial ring that Old Man Shui tossed over. After inspecting the spatial ring, he nodded at his companion. HM? As soon as the Ground Axe Alliance's member finished speaking, Duan Lingtian saw the Ground Axe Alliance's member's eyes turn cold. The Ground Axe Alliance's member standing behind Old Man Shui turned cold as well. Bush, bush. At this moment, the crisp sound of a saber and a sword whistling in the air rang in the air. In the next moment, blood splattered everywhere. Old Man Shui was killed. The bloody scene before Duan Lingtian's eyes shocked Duan Lingtian. This is the City of Sin? At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally felt the atmosphere in Sin City where people would kill if they disagreed with one another. At the same time, he no longer felt that Sin City was nothing special compared to other cities. Phew! Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief before he made his move. He was prepared to enter Sin City. However, just as he was about to make his move, two divine senses swept over at the same time and enveloped him, giving him a feeling of nowhere to hide. Bush, bush. In the next moment, the sound of wind whistling rang in the air. In just a blink of an eye, two figures appeared in front of him and blocked his path. It was clear they were not going to let him leave. Duan Lingtian took a closer look and realized who they were. The two people who had blocked his path with their divine consciousness were none other than the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance who had killed Old Man Shui earlier. Now that the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance had blocked his way, they were staring at him like hunters who had spotted their prey. I don't know that Old Man Shui, Duan Lingtian explained with a frown on his face. At this moment, he thought the two of them must have known each other. The two members of the Ground Axe Alliance had blocked his path because they thought he was related to Old Man Shui. We know you don't know that Old Man Shui. However, one of the members from the Ground Axe Alliance said with a grin on his face, Mastery Exemplary Saint Stage Cultivation Base. Boy, this is your first time in Sin City, right? Based on the words of the member of the Ground Axe Alliance, it was obvious he had discovered Duan Lingtian's cultivation base through his divine consciousness. So what if I am? Chapter 2093. So what if I am? When the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance heard Duan Lingtian's words and saw the grave expression on his face, they exchanged glances and saw the shock and disbelief in each other's eyes. How could an exemplary Saint Stage martial cultivator be so arrogant in front of them? Hey, do you know who you're talking to? The man from the Ground Axe Alliance who asked Duan Lingtian if this was his first time in Sin City asked in a deep voice. He was embarrassed by Duan Lingtian's arrogant question. I don't even know you. How would I know who I'm talking to? Duan Lingtian frowned. He looked at the man from the Ground Axe Alliance as though he was looking at an idiot. He was close to calling him an idiot. When the two men from the Ground Axe Alliance heard Duan Lingtian's words and saw Duan Lingtian's expression, they were dumbfounded again. After a while, the other man from the Ground Axe Alliance regained his senses. He smirked coldly. It seems like this kid is really a hothead who has never been to Sin City before. You don't even know what it means to be wearing the same exclusive apparel. I don't have many hobbies. My only hobby is to teach hotheads like you who come to Sin City for the first time a lesson. The man from the Ground Axe Alliance who asked Duan Lingtian earlier regained his senses as well. When he looked at Duan Lingtian again, a hint of mockery could be seen in his eyes as he sneered. Then, the mockery in his eyes turned cold. It was replaced by a chilling gleam. I'll give you a chance. Remove the ownership of your spatial ring and hand it over to me now. Since the way you're looking at me pisses me off, I'll consider sparing your life if you cripple your own eyes. The man from the Ground Axe Alliance spoke in an unquestionable tone as though he was certain Duan Lingtian's life was in his hands. There was a reason why he thought that way. After all, he had used his divine consciousness to probe Duan Lingtian earlier. He had also discovered Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was at the Mastery Exemplary Saint Stage. He did not care about a mere exemplary Saint Stage powerhouse at all. Son, I advise you to cooperate. The other member of the Ground Axe Alliance looked at Duan Lingtian mockingly. Based on his words, it seemed like he did not think much of Duan Lingtian at all. Although your cultivation base is only at the Mastery Exemplary Saint Stage, I'm sure you must have put in a lot of effort to reach this point. Instead of being killed, you might as well be blind. As for your storage ring, you won't be able to take it away after you're killed anyway, so why don't you hand it over yourself? What do you think? Although the member from the Ground Axe Alliance sounded like he was trying to persuade Duan Lingtian, he was, in fact, reminding Duan Lingtian. With your son's cultivation, it's not enough to challenge us. Hand over my spatial ring? Cripple my own eyes? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes before he smiled faintly. I'm afraid I won't be able to do as you wish. I don't like to torture myself. From the beginning until the end, Duan Lingtian remained calm even when he was threatened by the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance. It was as though he did not feel any pressure at all. His calmness caused the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance's hearts to skip a beat. Faced with their threats, the purple-clad young man before them was still able to maintain his composure at such a time. How could he remain so calm? In this case, there were only two possibilities. First, this purple-clad young man had an impressive background and was not afraid of them at all. Second, this purple-clad young man was deliberately mystifying them. A hint of dread flashed in the eyes of the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance. They were afraid of Duan Lingtian's background. If you really want my spatial ring and my pair of eyes, you can come up and take them yourselves. Duan Lingtian continued to say. As soon as he finished speaking, Duan Lingtian saw the dread in the eyes of the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance. He smirked disdainfully. If you don't have the guts, it's best for you to scram. Don't block my way. Duan Lingtian's words seemed to have ignited a fuse. The two members of the Ground Axe Alliance who had been suppressing their anger for a long time were instantly ignited. Son, do you think we can't tell you're deliberately mystifying us? How dare a mere mastery exemplary saint stage brat act so arrogantly in front of us? The two members of the Ground Axe Alliance were instantly enraged. Although they were members of the Ground Axe Alliance now, they had never been looked down upon by a mastery exemplary saint stage brat before they joined the Ground Axe Alliance. Now that they had the Ground Axe Alliance as their backer, what was there to be afraid of? Even if the purple-clad young man before them had a powerful background, how could he be more powerful than the Ground Axe Alliance? Even if he was more powerful than the Ground Axe Alliance, he would most likely be an organization outside of Sin City. Even if an organization outside of Sin City was more powerful than the Ground Axe Alliance, they would not dare to touch the Ground Axe Alliance. After all, the Ground Axe Alliance was stronger than the Sectless Cultivators Alliance. In Sin City, the Sectless Cultivators Alliance with ordinary strength would usually seek a powerful alliance to back them up. In order to gain the protection of the Sectless Cultivators Alliance, the Sectless Cultivators Alliance would give the Sectless Cultivators Alliance many benefits every year. The moment the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance thought of this, they immediately straightened their backs. They were no longer afraid of the organization behind Duan Lingtian. The reason they thought Duan Lingtian had an organization behind him was because Duan Lingtian was traveling alone. After all, even those who had been to Sin City once would not choose to travel alone. Only those who came to Sin City for the first time would choose to travel alone like a newborn calf that was not afraid of a tiger. Brat, since you want to die, we'll fulfill your wish. The member of the Ground Axe Alliance who had spoken to Duan Lingtian earlier snorted coldly. Then he made his move. With a raise of his hand, a sword ray flashed and swept toward Duan Lingtian. The sword light was swift like a shooting star that tore through the night sky, and his gaze was directed straight at Duan Lingtian. The other member of the Ground Axe Alliance made his move as well. He wielded a saber. As soon as he made his move, the saber ray was as bright as the moon as it swept toward Duan Lingtian. Faced with the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance, Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes as he activated the Sun Saint energy that he had been accumulating. As soon as the Sun Saint energy appeared, a whirlpool formed with Duan Lingtian as the center. This was the whirlpool formed by Duan Lingtian's devouring tactic. In the next moment, a sword appeared in Duan Lingtian's hand. This sword was one of the spoils he obtained after killing Yang Wu, the second son of Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, in the Black Turtle Sanctum of Zoroastrianism. It was 100 inscriptions saint's sword. Duan Lingtian did not plan to use the Jasper Celestial Sword because he did not think it was necessary to deal with the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance. Earlier, he had already asked Hua Lao about the cultivation base of the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance. Two cultivators at the peak of the quintessential saint stage. This was the answer Hua Lao gave him. The two members of the Ground Axe Alliance were only martial cultivators at the peak of the quintessential saint stage. With Duan Lingtian's current cultivation base, he could even kill ordinary powerhouses at the second form of the Saint Celestial stage without using the Jasper Celestial Sword. Two martial cultivators at the peak of the quintessential Saint stage who had not even entered the Saint Celestial stage were not worthy of him using the Jasper Celestial Sword. Bush, 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 bush. The sound of swords whistling in the air rang in the air. Duan Lingtian had consolidated his 10,000 swords territory and shrouded himself and the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance, blocking the view of others. Naturally. According to Hua Lao, not many people were paying attention to them. However, to be on the safe side, Duan Lingtian still consolidated his 10,000 swords territory just in case. Territory. When the two members of the Ground Axe Alliance saw Duan Lingtian casting his territory, they could not help but laugh disdainfully. At their level, would a territory still be useful? Since their attention was focused on Duan Lingtian's territory, they did not notice Duan Lingtian's territory. Duan Lingtian's saint energy was different from the saint energy of an ordinary mastery exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. They did not notice Duan Lingtian's territory. Duan Lingtian's saint energy had unknowingly undergone a huge change. With Duan Lingtian's current cultivation base at the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage, his Sun Saint energy was comparable to the saint energy of a Mastery Quintessential Saint stage powerhouse. This was the uniqueness of the Sun Saint energy. At this moment, Duan Lingtian had cast the divine ability, the devouring tactic, and raised the Sun Saint energy in his body to the point where it was comparable to the saint origin of a saint celestial stage powerhouse. Otherworldly celestial. When the 10,000 Swords territory was fully consolidated, Duan Lingtian summoned 3 clones with just a thought. Including himself, there were a total of 4 Duan Lingtian in the eyes of the 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance. Nice divine ability. Unfortunately, your cultivation base is too weak. It'll be as easy as killing a chicken for us to kill you. One of the members of the Ground Axe Alliance sneered when he saw the 3 clones of Duan Lingtian. At the same time, he mobilized the saint energy in his body to increase the speed of his attack. He was getting closer to Duan Lingtian, whom he had locked onto earlier. Naturally, he did not think it was a big deal even if Duan Lingtian had only left a clone behind. Even if a Mastery Exemplary Saint stage martial cultivator had mastered a high-grade divine ability or had comprehended it to its limit, he would not be able to do anything to him. After all, he was a martial cultivator at the peak of the quintessential saint stage. The other person had similar thoughts as well. He had a mocking smile on his face when he was about to say something. However, the scene that suddenly appeared in front of him shocked him so much that his eyes widened. An expression of despair appeared on his face. Chapter 2094. Sush, 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 sush. 4 sword cries rang in the air as soon as the man from the Ground Axe Alliance finished speaking. At the same time, the 100 inscriptions saint swords in the hands of Duan Lingtian's main body and the 3 Duan Lingtian's clones disappeared from the sight of the 2 men from the Ground Axe Alliance. In the next moment, the 2 men's attacks, one from the saber and the other from the Ground Axe Alliance, were destroyed. They only had the time to see the blade and sword lights darting out from their hands being shattered, but they couldn't see what had shattered their attacks. All they heard was the sound of 4 sword cries. Wait a minute. 4 sword cries. Did this mean there were 2 more sword cries? The 2 men from the Ground Axe Alliance felt chills running up their spines when they thought about this. Spurt, spurt. Accompanied by 2 soft sounds, a hideous and terrifying bloody hole appeared between their eyebrows. Dazzling and eye-catching blood continuously spurted out from it. Blood splattered in the sky, turning into a demonic bloody light that resembled stars. It was as if they had turned into blooming red roses. This was because all of this had happened in Duan Lingtian's 10,000 Swords territory. Most of the passers-by were not at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage or above. For this reason, no one else had witnessed this scene. Duan Lingtian would not show mercy to those who wanted to kill him. Hualao, help me devour their innate spiritual roots. After killing the 2 men from the Ground Axe Alliance, Duan Lingtian contacted Hualao and asked Hualao to help him devour the 2 men's innate spiritual roots. As the saying went, a mosquito is still meat. Although Duan Lingtian knew the 2 men's innate spiritual roots were not high-grade, he did not want to miss this opportunity. Both of them have light green innate spiritual roots. Hualao quickly informed Duan Lingtian of the 2 men's innate spiritual roots. With Hualao's help, Duan Lingtian also sensed the 2 men's innate spiritual roots. He cast the divine ability, the devouring tactic, to devour the 2 men's innate spiritual roots. Your innate spiritual root has reached its limit. Now, all you need to do is devour another green innate spiritual root to improve your innate spiritual root to an indigo innate spiritual root. Soon after, Hualao's voice entered Duan Lingtian's. Duan Lingtian was excited. Duan Lingtian divine ability spiritual roots. Indigo innate spiritual roots? My innate spiritual roots cultivation base cultivation speed, Duan Ling heavens, S, Duan Lingtian, Duan Ling, Duan Lingtian, Duan Ling heavens, done, Duan heavens, Duan heavens, Duan. Duan Lingtian's heartbeat quickened when he thought about this. A peerless genius with a violet innate spiritual root was a genius who stood at the peak of the Tao martial saint land. Duan Lingtian was, naturally, excited when he thought about how he would be able to catch up to those geniuses with his cultivation speed. It took him a long time to calm down. Hua Lao. After a while, Duan Lingtian finally calmed down. Then he asked, "Can my divine ability, the devouring tactic, help others devour their innate spiritual roots? For example, I can use the devouring tactic to devour A's innate spiritual root and transfer it to B's soul to help B improve his innate spiritual root." The reason Duan Lingtian asked such a question was because he was reminded of his family and friends. If this method worked, he would be able to help those around him improve their innate spiritual roots and allow them to break through to the seventh form of the Saint's celestial stage. The seventh form of the Saint's celestial stage was also known as the heaven-defying form. Once one broke through to the seventh form of the Saint's celestial stage, one would have eternal life. One's lifespan would be as long as heaven and earth. Duan Lingtian hoped that the people around him would have eternal life. That way, he would not have to watch his family and friends die of old age one by one. Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian's heart skipped a beat when he asked this question. Theoretically, there's a 90% chance of it working. Naturally, it'll depend on how it works. In response to Duan Lingtian's question, Elder Hua replied in a timely manner, "Naturally, the prerequisite is that you've comprehended and raised the divine ability, the devouring tactic, to its limit. Naturally, your soul must be elevated to the Saint's celestial stage as well, since you'll have to rely on yourself to sense their innate spiritual roots when you devour their innate spiritual roots. I can't help you with this." Hua Lao finished his sentence in one breath. Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up when he heard Hua Lao's reply. An excited expression could be seen on his face. Duan Lingtian was even more excited than when he found out his innate spiritual root was about to become indigo. This was because the answer Elder Hua had given him was related to his family and friends. It was also related to his family. The mother, father, Si Ling and the others. They'll be able to break through to the seventh form of the Saint's celestial stage, the heaven-defying form, and live forever. Duan Lingtian was excited when he thought about this. As for Kerr, she already possessed a heaven-defying violet innate spiritual root. It was only temporarily sealed, so Duan Lingtian did not have to worry about her. As long as he rescued Kerr and asked Hua Lao to teach her how to remove the seal, Kerr would be able to recover her innate spiritual root's martial Tao innate talent. Although Hua Lao had given him two conditions to help others improve their innate spiritual roots, Duan Lingtian had to fulfill them. First, his soul had to be at the Saint's celestial stage. Second, he had to comprehend the divine ability, the devouring tactic, to its limit. However, in Duan Lingtian's opinion, although he could not fulfill these two conditions now, as long as he was given time, he was confident he would be able to fulfill these two conditions in the future. Duan Lingtian suddenly regained his senses as though he had sensed something. This was because he noticed that there was a strange energy fluctuation coming from the robes of the two Ground Axe Alliance members that he was carrying. It seems to be the aura of a Tao talisman from this mundane realm. At the same time, Hua Lao's voice entered Duan Lingtian's ears. It was obvious he had also sensed the two energy fluctuations coming from the two men from the Ground Axe Alliance. Tao talisman? Duan Lingtian frowned. He searched the two men's bodies for a while. When he did not find anything, he put away the two men's spatial rings and threw the bodies away. In the next instant, Duan Lingtian withdrew his 10,000 swords territory and flew toward Sin City. While Duan Lingtian was making his move, the bodies of the two men from the Ground Axe Alliance fell from the sky and attracted the attention of many passers-by. Those are the bodies of the men from the Ground Axe Alliance? Two men from the Ground Axe Alliance died just like that? Who's that purple-clad man? He's so bold to kill two men from the Ground Axe Alliance so close to Sin City. Isn't he afraid of the Ground Axe Alliance's revenge? This is how cruel the city of Sin is. Even if you have a backer in the city of Sin, Once you accidentally kick an iron plate, you will not be able to escape death. When the passers-by stopped and sighed, their eyes involuntarily fell on the purple figure in the distance. From the beginning until the end, no one had seen Duan Lingtian's face. As for those who were close to Sin City, they did not know what had happened, so they did not pay any attention to Duan Lingtian, who had brushed past them. Sin City? I've finally arrived. Duan Lingtian could not help but sigh when he arrived at one of the gates of Sin City. Although there were 4 gates in Sin City, not many people entered or left through them. Most of them flew out of the city of Sin, or flew in from outside the city of Sin. As such, the 4 wide open doors seemed a little redundant. Duan Lingtian followed the crowd and flew into Sin City. It's huge. Although Duan Lingtian had noticed the size of Sin City from afar, he could not help but feel the vastness of Sin City when he entered the city. After entering the city of Sin, he felt that he was so insignificant, like a fish returning to the sea. In the city of Sin, there were many main roads that ran through the entire city of Sin. There were countless alleys and alleys. On the main road, many people had set up stalls by the side of the road. The items in their stalls were either saint weapons, medicinal pills, or Dao talismans. Many people were asking for prices in front of the stalls. Duan Lingtian hovered in the air above one of the main roads in Sin City. He could clearly feel the bustling atmosphere in Sin City. Boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, a loud noise resonated in Duan Lingtian's ears. At the same time, it attracted his attention. Duan Lingtian turned his head and saw 2 people fighting in the northern sky. Both of them were powerful. At the very least, Duan Lingtian could tell they were at the quintessential saint stage from their fight. One of them was a martial cultivator while the other was a Dao cultivator. Initially, the martial cultivator had the upper hand. Later on, the Dao cultivator took out a few Taoist talismans and crushed them. With the help of the Taoist talismans, he killed the martial cultivator who was fighting him. However, although he killed the martial cultivator, the Dao cultivator was already at the end of his rope. What a great opportunity for me! At this moment, a burst of laughter rang in the air. Then, Duan Lingtian saw another figure. A black-robed man with the symbol of a crow embroidered on his chest leaped into the air from afar. He flew high into the sky and killed the Dao cultivator who was at the end of his rope. Chapter 2095. When the black-clad man made his move, Duan Lingtian witnessed his strength. He was even weaker than a Dao cultivator when he was at his peak. However, since the Dao cultivator was severely injured, his strength was far from his peak. Therefore, he was easily killed by the black-clad man. After the black-clad man killed the Dao cultivator, he took the Dao cultivator's spatial ring. He took the spatial ring of the martial cultivator who was killed by the Dao cultivator as well. 2 idiots. What's the point of fighting? Didn't I benefit from it in the end? After the black-robed man killed the Dao cultivator, he was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he laughed and cursed before swaggering away. From the beginning until the end, the people in the surroundings merely watched. Nobody said a word. The people from the Black Crow Alliance are really shameless. Now, whenever there's a fight in Sin City, they have to avoid the people from the Black Crow Alliance to take advantage of the situation. That Dao cultivator was unlucky to have encountered the people from the Black Crow Alliance. Otherwise, he wouldn't have died. If he was at his peak, the person from the Black Crow Alliance wouldn't be as strong as the Dao cultivator. He took advantage of the fact that the Dao cultivator was at the end of his rope to kill him and take his spatial ring and loot. After the black-clad man left, the people in the surroundings began to discuss among themselves. As the group of people spoke, they sighed again. The people from the Black Crow Alliance? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes. Based on the discussion in the surroundings, Duan Lingtian learned about the black-clad man's identity. He was from the Black Crow Alliance, an alliance of sectless cultivators in Sin City. The people from the Black Crow Alliance loved to take advantage of others. Moreover, they had the backing of the Black Crow Alliance. Even if they were to take advantage of the situation, no one would take advantage of them and take advantage of the situation. In that case, the people from the Black Crow Alliance are really despicable. Duan Lingtian had never thought of himself as a saint who would enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. However, he was disgusted by the people from the Black Crow Alliance. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed as he made his way in the direction the Black Crow Alliance left. No one noticed Duan Lingtian's departure. After all, there were so many people at the scene. If one of them suddenly left, no one would notice. He's really swaggering. As it turned out, Duan Lingtian had instinctively followed the burly man from the Black Crow Alliance. He did not plan to chase after the burly man. He did not expect the burly man would appear in front of him again. It seems that even the heavens want me to be a hero who upholds justice on behalf of the heavens today. Whether or not my innate spiritual root can transform into an indigo innate spiritual root depends on you. I hope you won't disappoint me. With that thought in mind, Duan Lingtian did not continue to follow the burly man from the Black Crow Alliance. Instead, he descended from the sky and arrived at a deserted alley. Looking around, Duan Lingtian swept out with his divine sense. After confirming that there was no one around, Duan Lingtian continued with the next step. Apart from the purple robes, I only have the Zoroastrianism disciple's uniform left? Just as Duan Lingtian was about to change his clothes, he discovered that apart from the purple robes, he only had the Zoroastrianism disciple's uniform in his spatial ring. Naturally, there were 3 types of Zoroastrianism disciples' uniform in Duan Lingtian's spatial ring. One of them was the Zoroastrianism disciples' uniform in the Black Turtle Sanctum. The other one was the Zoroastrianism disciples' uniform in the Saint Land. The last one was the Zoroastrianism True Disciples' uniform in the Saint Land. Naturally, when Duan Lingtian was in the Zoroastrianism, he had worn the 4 symbols Sanctum's disciples' uniform in the First Mind's punishment zone. However, he had returned the uniform when he left the First Mind's punishment zone. For this reason, he did not have the uniform with him now. Forget it. I'll just wear something else. In the end, Duan Lingtian chose the Zoroastrianism disciples' uniform in the Saint Land and changed into it. After Duan Lingtian became a Zoroastrianism true disciple, he had never worn this uniform again. It's better for me to change into the true disciple's uniform. Suddenly, a thought appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. Then he changed the Zoroastrianism's Saint Land's elite disciple's uniform into the true disciple's uniform. After changing into the Zoroastrianism True Disciples uniform, Duan Lingtian activated the disguising secret method, causing the muscles on his face to contort before it turned into another face. If there was an Zoroastrianism's Saint Land's elite disciple here, he would be able to recognize Duan Lingtian's face immediately. This was the face of the Zoroastrianism's true disciple, Bu Hong, who was ranked 3rd on the true ranking. Bu Hong was originally ranked 2nd on the Zoroastrianism's true ranking. After he was defeated by Duan Lingtian, he was replaced by Duan Lingtian. His ranking had dropped by 1 place as well. Bu Hong was unaware of Duan Lingtian's current actions. If he knew that not only did Duan Lingtian cripple his innate talent, but Duan Lingtian had also disguised himself as him and stirred up trouble in Sin City, he would be so angry that he would throw up 3 liters of blood. Bu Hong's figure is similar to mine. Even those who are familiar with Bu Hong would think that I'm him if they don't know me better, right? Duan Lingtian nodded in satisfaction as he touched his face. Since he had changed his clothes and disguised himself, Duan Lingtian did not stay in the alley any longer. He immediately soared into the air and chased after the burly man from the Black Crow Alliance. Soon after, the burly man from the Black Crow Alliance appeared before Duan Lingtian's eyes. A Zoroastrianism's disciple? When Duan Lingtian flew out, he attracted many people's attention. After all, most of the people in Sin City were sectless cultivators. The sudden appearance of a Zoroastrianism's disciple from one of the 3 great sects in the Tao Martial Saint Land naturally attracted many sectless cultivators' attention. He's wearing the uniform of a Zoroastrianism's true disciple. Many of the sectless cultivators present on the scene had sharp eyes. They quickly recognized the uniform of a Zoroastrianism's true disciple on Duan Lingtian. Who's he chasing? Soon after, many people noticed that Duan Lingtian was in a hurry. Isn't that the person from the Black Crow Alliance? It seems like a Zoroastrianism's true disciple is chasing after him. When they saw Duan Lingtian was chasing after the burly man in the Black Crow Alliance's uniform, many sectless cultivators immediately flew out to join in the fun. Bush, 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 bush. When the group of sectless cultivators flew out, the sound of wind whistling rang in the air. As a member of the Black Crow Alliance, it was only natural that the burly man noticed the piercing sound of the wind behind him. He instinctively stopped in his tracks and turned his head around. A Zoroastrianism's disciple? With just a glance, he saw the group of people chasing after him. The person in the lead was the most eye-catching. This was because that person was wearing the uniform of a Zoroastrianism's disciple. A Zoroastrianism's true disciple? The burly man from the Black Crow Alliance narrowed his eyes when he saw the flame embroidered on the uniform of a Zoroastrianism's disciple. As far as he knew, this person was a true disciple. Any Zoroastrianism's true disciple was at the Saint Celestial stage or above. A mere mastery quintessential saint stage martial cultivator like him could not compare to them. He seems to be targeting me? The burly man from the Black Crow Alliance was shocked that the person charging toward him was a Zoroastrianism's true disciple. However, he suddenly felt the other party's aura locking onto him. Moreover, he could feel waves of murderous intent from the other party's body. He instantly realized the other party was trying to kill him. Friend from Zoroastrianism, I'm from the Black Crow Alliance in Sin City. My name is Jiao Tuesday. My second brother is Jiao Zhan, the deputy leader of the Black Crow Alliance. Is there a misunderstanding between us? I don't think I know you. The burly man from the Black Crow Alliance exclaimed in a panicked manner when he sensed the killing intent coming from the burly man and saw the burly man closing in on him. Jiao Tu? It's Jiao Tu. Jiao Tu isn't a good person. He's been doing a lot of bad things just because his brother is the deputy leader of the Black Crow Alliance. The sectless cultivators who came with Duan Lingtian were stunned when they heard Jiao Tu's words. They began to discuss among themselves. Perhaps, some of them had never seen Jiao Tu before, but they were familiar with his name. Of course, Jiao Tu's fame was in the form of infamy. I don't know you as well. Duan Lingtian replied coldly when he saw Jiao Tu, who was standing a distance away from him, had spoken in a fluster. Jiao Tu heaved a sigh of relief. However, I don't like you, so I want to kill you. Jiao Tu shuddered when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Horror dawned on him immediately. At this moment, Jiao Tu's expression changed drastically. Duan Lingtian did not continue to fly at a leisurely pace. Instead, he activated the Sun Saint energy in his body that was not enhanced by the divine ability, the devouring tactic, and appeared in front of Jiao Tu at lightning speed. Logically speaking, Duan Lingtian's current speed should be comparable to Jiao Tu's full speed. However, since Jiao Tu did not escape in time, Duan Lingtian caught up to him. The reason Jiao Tu did not flee was because he knew it was impossible for him to escape under the nose of this true disciple from the fire worship sect. Therefore, he thought it would be better for him to use this time to exchange a few words and find a way out for himself. Friend of Zoroastrianism, your joke isn't funny at all. Jiao Tu took a deep breath and suppressed the panic in his heart. He forced a smile on his face as he spoke to Duan Lingtian. Do you think I'm joking? Chapter 2096. Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold as killing intent surged out of his body. Even the sectless cultivators who came to watch the show could feel it. This true disciple of Zoroastrianism wants to kill Jiao Tu? Many sectless cultivators were shocked. They did not expect this true disciple of Zoroastrianism would chase after Jiao Tu to kill him. How did Jiao Tu offend him? Some sectless cultivators looked at each other in confusion. Isn't he here already? He doesn't know Jiao Tu. He just doesn't like Jiao Tu, so he wants to kill him. Do you believe that? I think it's believable. After all, the Black Crow Alliance is famous for being the aureole behind the mantis to take advantage of others in Sin City. Maybe this true disciple of Zoroastrianism doesn't like this and wants to kill Jiao Tu, who's a member of the Black Crow Alliance. Why do I feel that this reason sounds so ridiculous? There are many members of the Black Crow Alliance. Why would this true disciple of Zoroastrianism target Jiao Tu? Moreover, Jiao Tu isn't an ordinary member of the Black Crow Alliance. I'm confused as well. Jiao Tu is the younger brother of Jiao Zhan, the deputy leader of the Black Crow Alliance. Jiao Zhan is a powerhouse at the second form of the Saint Celestial stage. He's ranked at the 566th place on the Supreme Saint ranking. That's right. With Jiao Zhan's strength, there are only a few true disciples of Zoroastrianism who can defeat him. This true disciple of Zoroastrianism might not be one of them. Logically speaking, he shouldn't dare to touch Jiao Tu since he's afraid of Jiao Zhan's strength. The sectless cultivators who followed Duan Lingtian discussed among themselves. They were confused by the situation. Naturally, some of them felt things were not as simple as they seemed. Jiao Tu must have offended this true disciple of Zoroastrianism. Otherwise, why would this person want to kill him? Friends of Zoroastrianism, although I, Jiao Tu, am just an ordinary member of the Black Crow Alliance, my second brother is the deputy leader of the Black Crow Alliance, Jiao Zhan. When Jiao Tu sensed the terrifying killing intent emanating from Duan Lingtian, he realized Duan Lingtian was not joking. He immediately mentioned his second brother, Jiao Zhan. He seemed worried that Duan Lingtian might not have heard of his second brother, Jiao Zhan, so he added, "My second brother, Jiao Zhan, is one of the strongest powerhouses at the second form of the Saint Celestial stage. He's ranked at the 566th place on the Supreme Saint ranking." Jiao Tu heaved a sigh of relief after hearing that. In his opinion, now that he had revealed the ranking of his second brother, Jiao Zhan, on the Supreme Saint ranking, the disciples of Zoroastrianism would not dare to make a move on him. 566th on the Supreme Saint ranking? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes when he heard Jiao Tu's words. Jiao Tu nodded proudly. However, he did not dare to be as arrogant as usual. After all, although his second brother was strong, he was not by his side. It seems like this fellow from Zoroastrianism is afraid when he hears about my second brother's ranking on the Supreme Saint ranking. Otherwise, he wouldn't have asked for confirmation. Jiao Tu thought to himself. The group of sectless cultivators who had come to watch the show shared the same thoughts as Jiao Tuesday. This true disciple of Zoroastrianism won't dare to make a move on Jiao Tu after he finds out Jiao Tu's second brother is Jiao Zhan, who's ranked at the 566th place on the Supreme Saint ranking. That's for sure. Moreover, Jiao Zhan is famous in the Black Crow Alliance for being protective. He's very protective of ordinary members of the Black Crow Alliance, let alone Jiao Tu, who's his younger brother. It seems like there won't be a good show to watch. Many sectless cultivators whispered to each other in disappointment. They felt the true disciple of Zoroastrianism would not make a move on Jiao Tu after he found out about Jiao Tu's background. However, would Duan Lingtian be afraid of Jiao Tu and not make a move on Jiao Tu just because he revealed his background? Naturally, the answer was no. If I'm not mistaken, my name seems to be on the Supreme Saint ranking as well. Duan Lingtian's voice rang again. His voice was calm, but the killing intent on his body did not weaken at all. In fact, it seemed to be getting stronger. Jiao Tu's expression turned grave when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. A true disciple of Zoroastrianism who's ranked on the Supreme Saint ranking? In the entire Zoroastrianism, including the monstrous prodigy who recently appeared in Zoroastrianism, Duan Lingtian, there are only 8 of them, right? The 8 of them are the 8 prodigies of Zoroastrianism. I wonder which one of the 8 prodigies of Zoroastrianism he is. The sectless cultivator's eyes lit up when they heard Duan Lingtian's words. At the same time, they realized Duan Lingtian was a true disciple of Zoroastrianism and one of the 8 prodigies of Zoroastrianism. For a moment, they were very curious which one of the 8 prodigies of Zoroastrianism Duan Lingtian was. May I know which one of the 8 prodigies of Zoroastrianism you are? At the same time, Jiao Tu, who was frightened to the point of panic, took a deep breath to calm his surging emotions and mustered up his courage to ask. In any case, you're already a dead man in my eyes. Jiao Tu's expression changed drastically when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. It seemed like this true disciple of Zoroastrianism was determined to kill him. It doesn't matter if I tell you. I'm Bu Hong, a true disciple of Zoroastrianism. Jiao Tu's expression changed drastically when Duan Ling Tian reported his name. Naturally, he reported the name of the owner of his current face instead of his own name. Bu Hong. Jiao Tu's eyes widened when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He was familiar with this name. In fact, most of the sectless cultivators present on the scene were familiar with this name. In Zoroastrianism, the 8 prodigies were led by 3 powerhouses at the 3rd form of the Saint's celestial stage. Among them, Bu Hong was ranked 2nd. He was also ranked 2nd on the true ranking in the fire worship sect. Naturally, the sectless cultivators present on the scene had not heard about Duan Lingtian defeating Bu Hong in Zoroastrianism. Otherwise, they would not have thought Bu Hong was ranked 2nd among the 8 prodigies of Zoroastrianism. In their opinion, Bu Hong was ranked 2nd among the sectless cultivators. Bu Hong was the prodigy of the fire worship sect. He was ranked 421st on the Supreme Saint ranking. This was what the sectless cultivators present on the scene, including Jiao Tu, knew about Bu Hong. For a moment, many itinerant cultivators looked at Jiao Tu with mockery in their eyes. Using Jiao Zhan, who was ranked at the 566th place on the Supreme Saint ranking, as a shield in front of Bu Hong, who was ranked at the 421st place on the Supreme Saint ranking, seemed like a joke to Duan Ling Tian. Would Bu Hong be afraid of Jiao Zhan? I didn't expect him to be Bu Hong. Many sectless cultivators who had regained their senses could not help but sigh. Apart from being ranked 2nd among the 8 prodigies of Zoroastrianism, Bu Hong is also the direct disciple of the sanctum leader of Azure Dragon Sanctum, one of the 4 symbols sanctums of Zoroastrianism. It's said that the sanctum leader of Azure Dragon Sanctum is one of the strongest golden flame elders in Zoroastrianism. Some sectless cultivators knew Bu Hong's background like the back of their hands. With Bu Hong's strength and background, why would he be afraid of Jiao Tu? Soon after, a hint of pity could be seen in the eyes of the sectless cultivators as they looked at Jiao Tuesday. Remember to keep a low profile in your next life. Also, when you're on the road to hell, remember that the person who killed you is me, Bu Hong. Duan Lingtian's indifferent voice rang in the air while everyone was still in a state of shock. As the person involved, Jiao Tu's expression changed drastically. Run! In the next instant, without any hesitation, he turned around in a panic and tried to flee. At this moment, Jiao Tu no longer looked as arrogant as before. He looked like a stray dog that had lost its master. As though he could predict the future, Duan Lingtian followed closely behind Jiao Tu as he tried to flee. He maintained the same distance from Jiao Tuesday. From the beginning until the end, the distance between them did not change at all. In the eyes of the sectless cultivators behind Jiao Tu, Duan Lingtian was not lying. Bu Hong, the true disciple of Zoroastrianism, was deliberately toying with Jiao Tu. After all, most of the true disciples of Zoroastrianism were at the Saint's celestial stage or above. Only a few of them had become true disciples of Zoroastrianism due to their innate talent. Let alone Bu Hong, even an ordinary true disciple of Zoroastrianism would be able to catch up to Jiao Tu in just a blink of an eye. For this reason, they were certain Bu Hong was toying with Jiao Tuesday. However, they did not know that the fire worship sect's true disciple who was chasing after Jiao Tu was not Bu Hong. It was Duan Ling Tian, the monstrous prodigy who had recently risen to power in the fire worship sect. The reason why Duan Lingtian's speed was so slow was because he didn't use the divine ability, devouring technique, or the divine ability, golden crow wings. Otherwise, he would have caught up to Jiao Tu in the blink of an eye. Duan Lingtian did not use the 2 divine abilities because he did not want to expose his identity. Otherwise, he would not have disguised himself as Bu Hong. Currently, the Sun Saint energy in Duan Lingtian's body was comparable to the Mastery Quintessential Saint Stage Saint energy. It was similar to Jiao Tu, whose cultivation base was at the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage. For this reason, he did not have an advantage in terms of speed. Bu Hong, there's no enmity between us. Why do you want to kill me? When Jiao Tu saw Duan Ling Tian following behind him at a leisurely pace, he thought Duan Ling Tian was just toying with him. He panicked and began to flee as he yelled at Duan Ling Tian. "I did. I just don't like you, so I want to kill you." Duan Ling Tian replied at a leisurely pace. Chapter 2097. Since he had decided to impersonate Bu Hong, it was only natural that he had to take everything into consideration. For this reason, Duan Ling Tian cast the divine ability, the devouring tactic, only after he was certain the sectless cultivators behind him could not see his movements clearly since they were too far away. Naturally, he did not cast it at full strength. Even so, a faint whirlpool still appeared around Duan Ling Tian's body. The vortex moved along with his body, and wherever he passed, the heaven and earth spirit chi in the air was swallowed up by him. In just a blink of an eye, Duan Ling Tian's Sun Saint energy had risen to the peak of the quintessential saint stage. However, it did not stop there. It continued to rise. Meanwhile, the distance between Duan Ling Tian and Jiao Tu had shortened. "No. You're not Bu Hong." The sectless cultivators behind Duan Ling Tian did not notice the divine ability, the devouring tactic. However, Jiao Tu, who was closest to him, could clearly sense the increase in Duan Ling Tian's saint energy. As soon as Jiao Tu spoke, the Sun Saint energy in Duan Ling Tian's body had risen to the level of the saint origin of a powerhouse at the first form of the saint celestial stage. At this point, the Sun Saint energy did not continue to rise. "You only realized it now? It's too late." At the same time, Duan Ling Tian said indifferently. Before Jiao Tu, who had a look of despair on his face, could react, a vast energy swept out like a gigantic beast pouncing on Jiao Tu's day boom. A loud explosion rang in the air as Jiao Tu was engulfed by the energy from Duan Ling Tian's palm. It was as though he had been swallowed by a giant beast. When the energy dissipated, Jiao Tu completely disappeared. Only a spatial ring was left hovering in the air. During this time, Duan Ling Tian asked Elder Hua to help him devour the innate spiritual root in Jiao Tu's soul that had yet to dissipate after he was killed. Yellow spiritual root. What Hua Lao said next greatly disappointed Duan Ling Tian. Jiao Tu only possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. Although Hua Lao possessed a dark yellow innate spiritual root, Duan Ling Tian's innate spiritual root did not turn indigo after he devoured Jiao Tu's innate spiritual root. Duan Ling Tian was naturally very disappointed. "Your innate spiritual root has already transformed to the brink of becoming an indigo innate spiritual root. From now on, even if you only devour a yellow innate spiritual root, it'll be enough for your innate spiritual root to transform into an indigo innate spiritual root." What Hua Lao said next made the disappointment in Duan Ling Tian's heart disappear. "Forget it. Sooner or later, I'll be able to transform into an indigo innate spiritual root. It's only a matter of time," Duan Ling Tian comforted himself inwardly. After Duan Ling Tian regained his senses, he raised his hand and took the spatial ring that he had obtained as a reward. Then he turned around and left the sectless cultivators behind. Following which, his figure also disappeared before the eyes of the group of rogue cultivators as if he had never appeared. Naturally, the group of sectless cultivators could not ignore Duan Ling Tian's presence. Naturally, they were unaware of Duan Ling Tian's true identity. They thought Duan Lingan was the true disciple of Zoroastrianism, Bu Hong, who was ranked second among the 8 great prodigies of Zoroastrianism. Jiao Tu. He died just like that? Many sectless cultivators had a shocked expression on their faces. Although they could not see the movements of the true disciple of Zoroastrianism due to the distance between them, they saw the true disciple of Zoroastrianism was the only one who left. Jiao Tu had completely disappeared without a trace. That true disciple of Zoroastrianism, Bu Hong, is too domineering. Doesn't he know this isn't Zoroastrianism but Sin City? Moreover, Jiao Tu's second brother, Jiao Zhan, might seek revenge on him at any time? Some of the sectless cultivators were shocked by the true disciple of Zoroastrianism, Bu Hong's boldness. After all, one would not dare to kill the younger brother of the Vice Alliance leader of the Sectless Cultivators Alliance in Sin City if one did not have a certain level of confidence. Since Bu Hong dares to do such a thing in Sin City, he must have something to rely on. I'm guessing he came to Sin City with his master. That's possible. With his master around, even the leader of the Black Crow Alliance won't be able to do anything to Bu Hong. If it was someone else who was killed, I might feel pity for them. However, I don't feel pity for Jiao Tuesday. Instead, I'm gloating over his death. I feel the same way as you. Jiao Tu used to rely on his identity as a member of the Black Crow Alliance and his identity as the younger brother of Jiao Zhan, the Vice Alliance leader of the Black Crow Alliance, to kill many people for no reason. This time, he finally got what he deserved. None of the sectless cultivators present on the scene felt pity for Jiao Tu's death. Many of them even cheered for Bu Hong, the true disciple of Zoroastrianism, for his actions. Naturally, they were unaware that Bu Hong was not the true disciple of Jiao Tuesday. Instead, he was the new monstrous genius of Zoroastrianism, Duan Lingtian, who had recently risen to prominence in Zoroastrianism, had disguised himself as Bu Hong. Due to the fact that Duan Lingtian's disguise technique and the fact that he did not leave any traces behind, the only person who knew the truth was Duan Lingtian. After killing Jiao Tu, Duan Lingtian immediately left. He looked for a secluded place and changed into a purple robe. At the same time, his face began to distort as he reverted back to his original appearance. It was the new face that he had put on a whim when he arrived near Sin City. Naturally, although his current appearance was different from his original appearance when he was a member of Zoroastrianism, the difference was not too big. Both of them had dashing eyebrows and bright eyes. Both of them were extraordinarily handsome and had an extraordinary bearing. I've never heard Wang Efo, the alliance leader of the Sectless Cultivators Alliance in Clarity City, mention the Black Crow Alliance. It seems like it's just a Sectless Cultivator Alliance in Sin City, just like the Ground Axe Alliance. The Black Crow Alliance was not one of the Sectless Cultivators Alliances that Wang Efo had mentioned to Duan Lingtian before. That was why he thought so. Let's find a restaurant to sit down and get to know Sin City better. With that thought in mind, Duan Lingtian flew toward the city center of Sin City. He wanted to find a lively restaurant to sit down and gather some information. I wonder why so many itinerant practitioners have decided to settle down in the city of Sin, a place that is fraught with danger. Duan Lingtian had always been curious about this. Previously, Wang Efo, the alliance leader of the Sectless Cultivators Alliance in Clarity City, had kept him in suspense. Until now, he was still curious about the answer. While Duan Lingtian was looking for a restaurant, on the other hand, the Black Crow Alliance's base was not calm at all. Although the Black Crow Alliance was an alliance of sectless cultivators in Sin City, and their strength was average, they still had a place in Sin City. They had their own base in Sin City. Bang! In the Black Crow Alliance's base, Jiao Zhan, the vice leader of the Black Crow Alliance, was furious when he learned that his younger brother, Jiao Tu, had been killed. He slammed the table in front of him into dust. Who is it? Then, Jiao Zhan looked at the person who sent the message. His eyes gleamed coldly like a bloodthirsty venomous snake. It was no wonder Jiao Zhan was so angry. In the past, Jiao Zhan had 3 brothers. Apart from Jiao Tu, who was the oldest, he had an elder brother and a younger brother. The 4 of them were sectless cultivators and had always been wandering outside. During this time, his elder brother, Jiao De, and his 3rd brother, Jiao Hong, had died, leaving him and his 4th brother, Jiao Tu, to depend on each other for survival. Later on, he came to Sin City and formed the Black Crow Alliance. Since then, he had found a place to stay. As for his only remaining younger brother, he naturally doted on him. However, today he learned that his younger brother, Jiao Zhan, was dead. His only remaining younger brother, his 4th brother, had been killed by someone. It's Bu Hong, the true disciple of Zoroastrianism. Sensing Jiao Zhan's towering rage, the messenger shivered and replied with a trembling voice. Bu Hong. Jiao Zhan's eyes widened when he heard the person who sent the message. He asked in a deep voice, "Are you sure the person who killed my brother is Bu Hong from Zoroastrianism?" Naturally, he had heard of Bu Hong. In terms of strength, Bu Hong was much stronger than him since he was at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage. Naturally, that was in the past. Half a month ago, his cultivation base had successfully broken through to the third form of the Saint Celestial stage by relying on his various techniques, combat skills, and battle sense that he had mastered as a sectless cultivator. He was not afraid of Bu Hong at all. In fact, he was confident he could defeat or even kill Bu Hong. After all, Bu Hong was only at the bottom of the third form of the Saint Celestial stage. This could be seen from his ranking on the Supreme Saint ranking. Jiao Zhan was not afraid of Bu Hong, he was afraid of Bu Hong's master. The Golden Flame Elder from Zoroastrianism. The Sanctum leader of Azure Dragon Sanctum. The Black Crow Alliance and the Ground Axe Alliance were in a mess. He's the one who killed 2 people from the Ground Axe Alliance and took away the spatial ring that contained the 1,000 inscriptions Saint weapon? The leader of the Ground Axe Alliance saw an image when he crushed the Major Mirror Image Talisman in the Minor Major Mirror Image Talisman. In the image, a handsome purple-clad young man had killed 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance in a golden dazzling territory. Chapter 2098. There were many types of Dao talismans in the Dao Martial Saint land with many functions. The Mirror Image Talisman was only one of them. Apart from that, the Mirror Image Talisman was divided into the Ordinary Mirror Image Talisman and the Minor Major Mirror Image Talisman. The Ordinary Mirror Image Talisman could be used to record the scene in front of one's eyes for a certain period of time. When one crushed the Mirror Image Talisman, one would be able to replay the recorded scene. This effect was similar to the video and video recording on Earth in Duan Lingtian's past life. The biggest difference was there was only a picture and no sound. Previously, when Duan Lingtian was still in the Moon Illumination sect, he was tricked by someone from the Mountain Shade Black Market's branch using the Ordinary Mirror Image Talisman. The person from the Mountain Shade Black Market's branch displayed the image recorded by the Ordinary Mirror Image Talisman in the sky above the Moon Illumination sect's estate. It shocked the entire Moon Illumination sect and caused Duan Lingtian to part ways with the Moon Illumination sect. The Minor Major Mirror Image Talisman did not refer to one Dao talisman but 2 Dao talismans. Generally, they were considered a set. A set of Minor Major Mirror Image Talismans consisted of a Minor Major Mirror Image Talisman and a Major Major Mirror Image Talisman. The Minor Major Mirror Image Talisman was usually carried around by the person. It would constantly record and refresh the scene in front of the person. Until the person carrying the Minor Major Mirror Image Talisman was killed, the Minor Major Mirror Image Talisman would record the last scene of the person's life and send it to the Major Major Mirror Image Talisman. As long as one crushed the Major Mirror Image Talisman, one would be able to see the last scene recorded by the owner of the Minor Major Mirror Image Talisman. Who's he? The expression of the leader of the Ground Axe Alliance was extremely grave when he saw the handsome purple-clad young man with an extraordinary bearing in front of the Major Mirror Image Talisman. The leader of the Ground Axe Alliance was called Yao Buji. He was a middle-aged man with a medium build and an ordinary appearance. He was the kind of person who would not stand out in a crowd. However, this ordinary-looking middle-aged man was the leader of a sectless cultivator alliance in Sin City. Apart from that, Yao Buji was also one of the strongest powerhouses at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage. He was ranked in the top 300 on the Supreme Saint ranking. Through the Major Mirror Image Talisman, Yao Buji witnessed the death of 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance. Moreover, they were killed by a terrifyingly young man. If it was just the death of 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance, it wouldn't have been enough to make Yao Buji lose his composure. The reason why Yao Buji had lost his composure was because he had sent the 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance to seize the 1,000 inscriptions Saint Sword. The 1,000 inscriptions Saint Sword was stored in the spatial ring that was given to the 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance by the old man before they were killed by the purple-clad young man. If it wasn't for the fact that he was worried that he or the experts from the Ground Axe Alliance would attract too much attention and that the old man wasn't a threat, he wouldn't have been able to deal with him. He would not send 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance who were merely at the peak of the quintessential saint stage to snatch the old man's spatial ring that contained the 1,000 inscriptions saint sword. He had originally thought that it was in the bag, but who would have thought that a purple-clothed youth would appear out of nowhere? 2 idiots. Wouldn't it have been fine if they hadn't provoked him? Although Yao Buji had only seen the scene and could not hear anything, he could roughly guess what the purple-clad young man and the 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance were talking about based on their mouths. Based on this, he realized that the 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance had provoked the 2 of them. It was the 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance who had provoked the purple-clothed young man, which was why the purple-clothed young man had killed them. It's a good thing I gave the 2 idiots a minor mirror image talisman before they left. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know who had obtained the 1,000 inscriptions saint sword. Yao Buji felt slightly relieved when he thought of this. At the same time, he felt his heart ache. An ordinary minor mirror image talisman was worthless. However, a minor major mirror image talisman was extremely valuable. Even the leader of the Ground Axe Alliance only had a few sets of them. However, he had wasted 2 sets of them this time. As long as I can find the purple-clad young man and retrieve the 1,000 inscriptions saint sword, it's worth it to waste 2 sets of minor major mirror image talismans. Yao Buji felt slightly better when he thought of this. The purple-clad young man in the scene was none other than Duan Lingtian, who had just arrived at Sin City. However, Duan Lingtian did not expect that the old man would be able to retrieve the 1,000 inscriptions saint sword. He did not expect the old man who was being chased by the 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance would possess a precious saint weapon like the 1,000 inscriptions saint sword. Moreover, the 1,000 inscriptions saint sword was currently in his spatial ring. To be more precise, the 1,000 inscriptions saint sword was in his spatial ring. The reason for this was also because the spatial ring that contained the 1,000 inscriptions saint sword belonged to the old man. The old man's spatial ring was in the Ground Axe Alliance's spatial ring. The spatial ring of the Ground Axe Alliance's spatial ring was in Duan Lingtian's spatial ring. At this moment, Duan Lingtian did not know he had obtained 1,000 inscriptions saint sword since he did not have the time to look through his loot. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was in a restaurant in the center of Sin City. This restaurant was one of the busiest restaurants in the center of Sin City. Duan Lingtian had been in the restaurant for quite some time now. He had gained a better understanding of Sin City. It's no wonder so many sectless cultivators want to settle down in Sin City. As it turns out, there would be a few sectless cultivators at the 7th form of the Saint Celestial stage who would take out some good stuff for the sectless cultivators to fight over. Duan Lingtian was sitting by the window in the restaurant when he heard the sectless cultivators talking about this. There were a few sectless cultivators at the 7th form of the Saint Celestial stage or above in Sin City. They did not belong to any of the sectless cultivators' alliances, but they had a high status in Sin City. They were loved by many sectless cultivators in Sin City. Every once in a while, these sectless cultivators would take out treasures that were considered treasures by ordinary sectless cultivators and throw them everywhere in Sin City for the sectless cultivators to fight over. These treasures included celestial-grade saint stones, high-grade martial tactics, rare Dao talismans, and 100 inscriptions saint weapons. Those sectless cultivators are treating the sectless cultivators like monkeys. Duan Lingtian could not help but shake his head when he learned about this. He had learned from some of the sectless cultivators in the restaurant that sectless cultivators at the 7th form of the Saint Celestial stage or above would take out treasures in Sin City and cause a commotion among the sectless cultivators. And every time, many rogue cultivators would die an unnatural death. Humans were greedy by nature. The items thrown out by a few rogue cultivators were probably just ordinary items that were not worth mentioning to them. However, to the sectless cultivators in Sin City, they were treasures that were worth risking their lives for. If one's unlucky, the treasures will fall into a crowd and have to be fought over. If one's lucky, the treasures will fall into a deserted place. Even a sectless cultivator with a weak cultivation base will be able to obtain them easily. Duan Lingtian sighed when he learned about this. Nothing else. Just this alone was enough to make many rogue cultivators fight tooth and nail to settle down in the city of Sin. Perhaps good luck would befall upon them one day? After all, there were many people who thought they were lucky. It's just like the lottery on Earth in my past life. Although the probability of winning is pitifully low, there are still many people who fight over it. The amount of prize money collected in each round is in the hundreds of millions. At this moment, Duan Lingtian recalled the lottery on Earth in his previous life. Was there not a group of speculators who would fight to the death to buy it? It was all because of the pitifully low probability of winning. Compared to the probability of winning the lottery on Earth in my previous life, the probability of obtaining the treasures from the few powerhouses in the city of Sin is much higher. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. The treasure vault left behind by sectless cultivators at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage before they underwent the heavenly tribulation and ascended? Soon after, Duan Lingtian learned about another attractive thing about Sin City from the sectless cultivators' discussion. That was, in Sin City, there would be news about the location of the treasure vault left behind by sectless cultivators at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage before they underwent the heavenly tribulation and ascended to the immortal realm. Everyone knew that regardless if it was a martial cultivator, Tao cultivator, or devil cultivator, once they had broken through to the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage, they would have to face the heavenly tribulation before ascending to the Devata realm. The 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage was also known as the celestial ascension form. One would only have the opportunity to ascend after passing the heavenly tribulation. One could ascend immediately or wait for a period of time before ascending. Naturally, the period of time was limited. Generally, those who had passed the heavenly tribulation would not be able to stay in the mundane realm for too long. After a certain period of time, they would be forcefully drawn to the Devata realm by the celestial ascension force. Naturally, even powerhouses at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage were not certain they would be able to pass the heavenly tribulation successfully. The heavenly tribulation was extremely terrifying. Many powerhouses at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage were turned into ashes by the heavenly tribulation. Powerhouses at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage from various forces would only leave behind saint weapons and Tao talismans that would affect their strength before they underwent the heavenly tribulation. They would leave the rest of their belongings in their spatial rings for the forces they belonged to. After all, even a spatial ring would be blasted into pieces under the heavenly tribulation. If one successfully passed the heavenly tribulation, they would not bring anything with them when they ascended. Chapter 2099. Powerhouses at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage could leave everything they had to the sect before they passed the heavenly tribulation or ascended. However, there were many sectless cultivators at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage. They did not belong to any sect, family, or friends. Before these sectless cultivators transcended the heavenly tribulation or ascended to the immortal realm, they would usually take out their spatial rings or items from their spatial rings and store them somewhere else. After the sectless cultivator failed the heavenly tribulation and died, or after he successfully passed the heavenly tribulation and ascended to the immortal realm, it would become a treasure trove that the people of the mundane realms would scramble for. After all, the treasures left behind by a powerhouse at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage before they passed the heavenly tribulation or ascended would be stored there. It seems like this is one of the reasons sectless cultivators gather in Sin City. Duan Lingtian discovered another reason why sectless cultivators at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage wanted to stay in Sin City after he learned about the treasure vaults left behind by sectless cultivators at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage. Even he was interested in the treasure trove left behind by a sectless cultivator at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage. Would something left behind by a sectless cultivator at the 9th form of the Saints' celestial stage be ordinary? Naturally, the answer was no. However, Duan Lingtian did not hear any other useful information apart from that. After he had some food, he paid the bill and left. For sectless cultivators who had just arrived in Sin City, there were 3 options for a place to stay in Sin City. The first type was the residences that Sin City specially built for rogue cultivators. These residences required rogue cultivators to fight for them with their own strength. Rogue cultivators who were not strong enough would not be able to obtain them. The second option was to stay in a place provided by the Sectless Cultivators Alliance in Sin City. One had to join the Sectless Cultivators Alliance first. The third option was to stay in the expensive inns in Sin City. These inns did not only have ordinary rooms, but they also had independent courtyards and mansions. Naturally, the independent courtyards were more expensive than the ordinary rooms. Furthermore, a mansion was not something that an ordinary person could afford. Let's find an inn to stay at first. After all, he had just arrived at Sin City. Therefore, Duan Lingtian did not consider the other two residences and decisively chose the inn. The inns in the city of Sin were all owned by the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Under the protection of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, one would not have to worry about trouble if they stayed in the inns. It was much more reassuring. This was also the reason why Duan Lingtian chose the inn. After leaving the restaurant in the center of the city of Sin, Duan Lingtian found an inn that looked luxurious from the outside and walked in. The signboard in front of the inn had the words "Thank you for your hospitality" written on it. Guests staying in the hotel? Behind the counter at the entrance of the inn, there was an old man who was dozing off. When he heard Duan Lingtian enter, he immediately opened his eyes and squeezed out a smile. A Saint Celestial Stage powerhouse. As soon as the old man opened his eyes, Duan Lingtian sensed the aura of a Saint Celestial Stage powerhouse from his body. He guessed the old man must be a Saint Celestial Stage powerhouse. First form of the Saint Celestial Stage. Hua Lao answered Duan Lingtian's question, confirming Duan Lingtian's guess. The innkeeper of an inn is a Saint Celestial Stage powerhouse. It seems like the Rogue Cultivator Alliance behind this inn isn't simple at all. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Yes, I'll be staying in the inn. Duan Lingtian nodded in response to the old man's question. Like most inns in Sin City, the rooms in our Thank You Inn are divided into 3 categories: ordinary rooms, courtyard rooms, and mansion rooms. May I know which one you'd like to stay in? The smile on the old man's face widened when he heard Duan Lingtian wanted to stay in the inn. How much does it cost? Duan Lingtian asked. Although he had heard that the rooms in Sin City were very expensive when he was in the restaurant, he did not have a concrete idea of how expensive they were. Duan Lingtian's horizons were broadened when the old man spoke. Ordinary rooms cost 1 3rd-grade Saint Stone per day. Courtyard rooms cost 1 2nd-grade Saint Stone per day. Mansion rooms cost 1 1st-grade Saint Stone per day. The old man smiled. Although Duan Lingtian was mentally prepared, he could not help but gasp when he heard the old man's price. Expensive. Too expensive. The old man's price was only the price of staying in the inn for a day. Perhaps, a day was not an exaggeration. However, how many people only stayed for a day? Is this your first time in Sin City? The old man asked with a smile on his face. He seemed to have noticed Duan Lingtian's surprise, but he did not reveal any other emotions. Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded. There was nothing to deny. It was indeed his first time here. Sir, the rooms in our Decline Guest Inn are clearly priced. They are not as expensive as other inns. However, our service is definitely better than most inns in Sin City. The old man said confidently, perhaps our Decline Guest Inn does not have an advantage in terms of the quality of the rooms. However, there are not many inns that can compare to our Decline Guest Inn in terms of safety. Our Decline Guest Inn is a property of the Mighty Tyrannical Alliance. Usually, there are powerhouses from the Mighty Tyrannical Alliance on duty. Once you stay in our Decline Guest Inn, you won't have to worry about your safety. The confidence on the old man's face grew as he spoke. Mighty Tyrannical Alliance? Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up when he heard the old man's words. This was because he had heard of the Sectless Cultivators Alliance before he came to Sin City. Previously, when he was still in Clarity City, he had heard the alliance leader of Clarity City's Sectless Cultivators Alliance, Wang Efo, mention about the Sectless Cultivators Alliance in Sin City. It was considered one of the stronger Sectless Cultivators Alliances in Sin City. It seems like you've heard of our Mighty Tyrannical Alliance. The old man was very observant. He quickly noticed the change in Duan Lingtian's eyes. Yes, I've heard of it. Duan Lingtian did not deny it. After he nodded, he raised his hand and took out a first-grade saint stone as well and placed it on the counter in front of the old man. Shopkeeper, a courtyard room for 10 days in advance. All right. The innkeeper became even more enthusiastic when he heard Duan Lingtian wanted to stay in the courtyard room. After helping Duan Lingtian register, the innkeeper passed a token with the words Earth 27 on it to Duan Lingtian. The token was slightly heavy in his hand. It emitted a strange wave. A formation? It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to detect the wave of a formation. Please wait for a moment, sir. I'll get someone to bring you over. At the same time, the innkeeper greeted Duan Lingtian before he took out a Dao talisman and crushed it. It took about 3 breaths after the Dao talisman was crushed. A gust of wind blew past, and a short but nimble servant appeared in front of Duan Lingtian. After taking the token with the words Earth 27 from Duan Lingtian, he led Duan Lingtian through the inn and into the backyard. Sir, this is your room. Soon after, Duan Lingtian arrived at a spacious courtyard under the servant's lead. There were flowers and grass in the courtyard. It was exquisite and pleasant. There was also a spacious room at the back. This token is also the room key. With it, you can easily pass through the hybrid formation that shrouds this room. At the same time, the servant returned the token to Duan Lingtian. At this time, Duan Lingtian saw a plaque with the words Earth 27 hanging in front of the courtyard. It was a perfect match for the token in his hand. The servant watched as Duan Lingtian entered the courtyard before he left. As soon as Duan Lingtian entered the courtyard, he discovered the surroundings had become quiet again. Not a single sound could be heard. It seems like the hybrid formation that shrouds this courtyard also has a soundproof formation. However, it's still a little expensive to pay a second-grade saint stone a day. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. A soundproof array could be easily set up by spending low-grade saint stones. In any case, Duan Lingtian finally had a place to stay in this unfamiliar Sin City after arriving at the Decline Inn and staying at the Earth 27 room. Meanwhile, Yao Buji, the leader of the Ground Axe Alliance, personally drew a portrait and made many copies before he distributed them to the members of the Ground Axe Alliance. Then he ordered, "Find the person in the portrait at all costs. Those who have information on this person's whereabouts will be rewarded with 100 first-grade saint stones. Those who bring this person back to the Alliance will be rewarded with 100 quasi-celestial grade saint stones." As the saying went, generous rewards will attract brave men. The moment Yao Buji gave the order, the entire Ground Axe Alliance was in an uproar. Even the Saints' celestial stage powerhouses in the Ground Axe Alliance left the Ground Axe Alliance with the portrait and began to search Sin City. This was because the face Duan Lingtian was using was the same one he had used to kill the 2 members of the Ground Axe Alliance. Therefore, it did not take long before the members of the Ground Axe Alliance discovered Duan Lingtian was in the center of Sin City. They even found out which restaurant he had eaten at. They even found out which inn he was staying in. Welcome guests at an inn? Yao Buji, the leader of the Ground Axe Alliance, could not help but frown when he found out Duan Lingtian was staying in the Decline Inn. He didn't care about a mere inn that refused to entertain guests. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.